The lady asks the Lord in her thoughts, if he really exists, then let him help her, at least this once and just today. At that very moment, an arrow flies from behind, flying right past the young lady's face, after which he crashes into a tree. The girl looking at the arrow realizes that it is the one she thinks of. Then the lady turns around and sees Rakik. The young man carrying the lady insists that they move northwest. And without stopping, Lady realizes that 6 months have passed since she was summoned into this crazy world. If the plan had failed, she would have been crying in the crown prince's bed today after becoming a victim and losing her virginity. She would go mad day after day, just waiting for her descent into eternal sleep. But now, a young man with blonde hair takes the girl into his arms, and she realizes that instead, she is being carried away in the arms of another man. It is Vikan, the one who is trying to protect her, and the one whose actions provoked the crown prince a little while ago in the divine sanctuary. One girl sighed heavily and claimed that she couldn't believe that she had to work on a day off because she spilled a vase of water. She also wonders who she should blame for this, herself for her carelessness, or the archbishop who appeared at the wrong moment. The lady understands that her life is not filled with rainbows and butterflies, but it is clearly better than that of the divine vessels. A week has passed since the end of the ceremony, and they will be returned to their families if they do not wake up today. The sanctuary will definitely be disappointed, because they have offered all possible prayers for 1,000 days to carry out the summoning ceremony, but not a single vessel awakened. At that very moment, the girl noticed one of the ladies beginning to wake up. She also asks what it was, and whether she imagined it. But then the girl with red hair moves again. Then another lady screams that a sacred being has appeared and runs to ring the bell. She also cries out that the chosen vessel is crazy, but then corrects herself and says that she is the daughter of the Rommel family from Summer Hedge. At this time, the main character remembers how someone turned to her and screamed that it was all because of her. This girl also told her sister that she didn't want to see her and that she should get out of this house. The girl clearly remembers arguing with her younger sister about their trip and running away from home, but she still doesn't remember what happened after that. Now the girl opens her eyes. Her interlocutor immediately asks how the lady is feeling, and she thinks that she is now confused. The lady's soul and body are still separated, but in a couple of days, everything will be fine. The main character wonders who this girl is. She also doesn't understand what she's saying, and the lady wonders if she's a foreigner. The main character also thinks her throat is so sore, she can't make a sound or even move. The maid at this time claims that she was told to massage her hands immediately upon arrival because the lady had poor body sensation. The main character wonders if this is a nurse, and it turns out that she is in the hospital. But at that very moment, someone asks if the girl has woken up, and he cannot believe that the vessel from the Summer Hedge was chosen. This gave him a headache, but the guy tells the girl not to worry, because now she belongs to him, so her value will increase greatly. The main character wonders what kind of man this is, and Rakik asks if the girl has eaten anything. The maid replies that not yet, and he says that it is fine, and also offers to send a letter to the Rommel family. And let her tell him that the poisonous flower on the Summer Hedge has finally bloomed, and let her also say that their daughter was sold to the highest bidder. At this time, the maid cries out to His Highness, asking if he is sure that he wants to speak like that to the Duke. But the blonde man coldly tells her to write exactly what he said. The maid then agrees and leaves. The main character thinks that it's somehow awkward there, and at that moment, the guy hands her a glass of water, and he asks if she wants a drink. The girl, looking into his eyes, realizes they look like those of a dangerous man. Then she sees how the Rakik starts drinking water from the glass and wonders what he is doing. But when the guy gets closer, the lady is completely surprised. Then she feels his lips on hers. The lady realizes that she cannot breathe because of the water, and also asks him to stop in her thoughts. The guy then pulls away but grabs the girl's face and says that it looks like she doesn't know how to use her tongue, but it would be a shame if she dared to avoid him. He also calls her Lergia and says that from now on this is her name. The girl realizes she's now certain this man is crazy. A short time later, you find yourself in the imperial palace of the Bellegram Empire. The main character sits on the couch and realizes that 5 days have passed since she woke up in this world. She can move her arms and lower body, but she is not yet able to walk. The only thing she can see is through the window. There is an endless forest that surrounds the building, and she would really like to know where it is. At the same moment, a woman enters the room. The main character understands that they only come for a couple of minutes a day to examine her, so she doesn't think it's connected to anything illegal or scary, but they'll come running if she makes the slightest sound or moves. Therefore, it is obvious that they are assigned to monitor her, but people are not able to walk, so there can be no talk of escape. Legria also understands that it is better not to provoke anyone until there is an opportunity to escape to hide her emotions and remain calm. The girl recalls someone telling her that she wasn't born a genius, so she should control her mind, hide her emotions, and remain calm. She shouldn't laugh or cry carelessly. What if her sister follows her bad example and fails the competition? The young lady's mother repeated this over and over again, and the woman then continued that she had said that the emotions of those around her had a very strong influence on her. The protagonist suppressed all her feelings and gave up everything she wanted to do. The woman, however, insisted that if she couldn't do anything herself, then at least let him stand in her way. Every day, the girl simply tried to adapt to her surroundings and avoid problems. But now someone addresses her by name, and when the lady turns around, she sees Rakik in front of her. He says what a capricious woman she is and hands her a piece of strawberry. The guy claims it's been 5 days since she woke up, and she should be able to eat at least fruit or berries. The lady then opens her mouth and eats a strawberry, and the blonde guy says what a good girl she is after, which he turns to services and says something else. And the lady thinks that she doesn't understand a word, and it's definitely not English. Well, then the lady hears this guy calling her by her name, after which the blonde guy says that his name is Rakik Barakiel Belagram. The young lady repeats his name. Meanwhile, the guy points at her and calls the lady by her first name. The main character thinks, oh no. After all, he keeps repeating this name for 5 days, as if it were her name. After that, the girl says it's not her name, but when she's about to say her name, she can't remember it. Meanwhile, the man recalls the rumors circulating about the lady. Some said she was a girl with a bad personality and a poisonous flower of the summer hedge, and also a woman who would not fall into eternal sleep even if she drank pesticides. Her name was Beatrice Rommel. A short time ago, a man in the archbishop's office in the high church hits the table, which frightens the priest. The blonde asked if he wanted to say that this woman was the future crown princess. The archbishop claimed that the soul inside this body belonged to another being, and the blonde asked if the archbishop considered him a fool, and he could try to hide it as much as he wanted, but the truth could not be hidden. The soul of a sacred being is placed in the divine vessel that is most compatible with it. He asked his people to gather all possible information about Beatrice Rommel, and his gaze caught on the last 3 lines, because this lady blinded her younger brother, Dietrich Rommel, by piercing his eye with a shard of glass, and the reason for this is unknown. Her severely after which the lady voluntarily volunteered to become a divine vessel. But the archbishop says that Lady Beatrice, that is Lady Legria, will soon be ready to go to the imperial palace. And frankly, she's already showing some elegance. The blonde insisted that the wedding was just around the corner, and countless people want to receive the blessing of the woman who came from the divine world, so Legria must be perfect. There are 6 months left until the wedding, and during this time, she needs to rewrite her reputation as a crazy idiot, and also transform into a noble crown princess. Now the man claims that the sacred being reacts in approximately the same way when it understands the situation it finds itself in. They cry for days on end and hurl curses or deny the new reality, hiding their ears and eyes from the truth. But the lady calmly realized and accepted what was happening, as if she had learned to discard everything and to give in from a young age. There is some strange elegance in her humble look. After this, the girl screams, "Does this pervert really have a fetish for his tongue, and why is he so attached to it?" The girl also screams why he is so pestering him, and is he really crazy? The guy asks if she called him a crazy pervert, and claims that there is something to it. He also wonders what kind of face the lady will make when she finds out that he understands her every word. After this, the girl thinks about what she should do and how she shouldn't provoke him. Then people apologize for making her angry, and he claims that this is not what she meant, because it is not his fault, and it is simply quite sad to sit locked up. The lady also says that she has one request, after which she asks if he can bring her a map. The lady also talks about this card in English, so that he understands well when the guy doesn't react. She asks if he's listening to her at all. The guy then hands her the strawberry again and claims that, unlike the original owner of this body, it will be easier to deal with her, after which he again hides the strawberry and touches her lips. The main character sighs after this. She wonders why this guy is smirking, and does he really think that she is a puppet that is under his control? We need to try to understand this language at least a little, and until then, pretend that she has become obedient. The lady thinks she'll eat whatever she can and wear whatever she's given. The blonde guy remains silent. And then he gets even closer to the lady and also realizes that he never thought that she was a fragile living creature. Which can only rely on him will bring such satisfaction, and it is so exciting. However, he must wait, because her appearance is the result of a summoning ceremony in which prayers flowed for 1,000 days. Every living being must come to these tender feet, and then he will become perfect. At this time, the main character thinks why he came so close and what he is trying to do, after which the lady pushes him away. And she screams for this guy to listen, because she wants to look in the mirror. The lady says that the mirror is an object that will show her reflection, and she wants to see her face. The girl also says this in English, after which the blonde claims that it seems she knows at least 4 divine languages. And this is impressive because in this world, only members of the imperial family and linguists are able to learn several languages. After this, the guy pulls her hand towards him and claims that the lady will see herself on the day of the sacred spring ceremony, so let her wait a little more. The main character thinks about what he said and whether he really understands her, and the blonde man turns to the maid. He claims that the lady's condition seems to have improved, so let them serve a normal dinner. He will proceed to the divine sanctuary and prepare for the ceremony. A short time later, His Highness descends into the basement of the divine sanctuary of the sacred spring temple. The archbishop immediately bows before His Highness and greets him, but the blonde man only says that his mouth will split if he smiles so widely. The archbishop smiles and asserts that this will not happen, after which he asks how the divine being feels, and he understands His Highness's disappointment because he is not even able to talk to her. The blonde man claims he's never had a pet before and wonders if it's similar. The priest says he was worried His Highness would be displeased, but who would have thought the Rommels would be brought to trial? His Highness replies that it is even better this way, since Duke Rommel was constantly finding some excuse to remain neutral. But now he's pulling him over to his side, and His Highness claims he believes he was hoping for his daughter's return. There were rumors he was planning to marry her off to the Severek family, which also remained neutral. But in the end, everything turned out differently, and it was not officially announced from which family the next crown princess would come. But after the ceremony, there will definitely be unrest in the empire, and everyone will be scared that a mad dog has become a princess. But a poisonous plant can become a medicine if used correctly. And everyone is so stupid. The archbishop, frightened, says that His Highness is absolutely right, and if their child inherits the same courageous spirit as Lady Beatrice, then they will be able to conquer an entire continent, and a wonderful future awaits them. The blonde then claims that the guy is overdoing it with his flattery, and the archbishop claims that they would like to prepare. So he asks for a hint as to where His Highness stands after the sacred spring ceremony, but the blonde replies that he is not sure yet. The archbishop also tells him not to forget that he can rest so much in the imperial palace, but also in the divine light of the dwelling, because in the end it is a haven for every holy knight. Holy knights are superhumans who form the core strength of the Bellegram Empire. They are typically born with the red fluid of a divine being. One mother can give birth to only one such child, and the child will receive a strong blessing regardless of gender. The first blessing of the Holy Knight occurred in the 15th century, and it allowed them to use extraordinary power, but they need a divine being to survive. The longer the Holy Knight uses this power, the more mad he will become, but a divine being can quickly stabilize this madness. The emperor tells his son that his mother, who fell into eternal sleep in her youth, she was a divine being. He should have consoled her and calmed her down, but he couldn't, and that's why their relationship deteriorated very quickly. The man also approaches his son and claims that war with the Aritum Empire is inevitable. Therefore, he must find a partner for himself before it begins, because his blessing can only be fully revealed next to her. Now the archbishop turns to His Highness, who claims that the attraction of the Holy Knight to the divine being is a fate that concerns even him. Therefore, he will inevitably submit and fall on his knees before this fragility. He grew up seeing holy knights go mad because they couldn't find a mate. Some even became enraged when a divine being refused to become a partner, while others chose the path of self-destruction when they died. But he does not intend to repeat their mistakes, and the guy claims that Oleg will completely submit to him. He also orders the priest to prepare for the ceremony. Well, when he is about to leave, the archbishop stops him. And he says that with all due respect, he must ask this question about the barbarian he put in prison. After all, he still hasn't eaten anything, and suddenly he'll fall into eternal sleep. His Highness claims that barbarians live very long lives, and he can survive even by eating insects on the cell walls, so the archbishop shouldn't worry. He also asks what this barbarian's name was. The archbishop replies that he thinks his name was Vicane, A. Little while later, one girl turns to another and says she has a question. Celine asks, what, after which the girl asks why Mormala is so expensive. Mormala is a special plant that grows only in the sacred forest that surrounds the sanctuary. The main character is in the palace at this time, and his eating Celine claims that when a divine being inhales the scent or eats food containing the powder, the life of this plant, the stress of entering a new environment is greatly reduced, which helps to cope with body rejection. And the most important thing is that she will become less wary of the people of this world. And perhaps her absurd calm is due to the Mormala powder. Well, another girl claims that she is after all a lady of the house of Rommel. Celine claims that she has such a gentle look, and they say that usually a divine being falls into a rage upon arrival. But she's completely different because her eyes are full of virtue. The girl claims she massaged her hands, and this lady thanked her with all her appearance, and might even make her priestess servant. But at that very moment, someone yells at Celine to stop barking and asks if she has any self-respect. This girl asks if the lady really wants to take advantage of a stupid divine being and get ahead. Celine replies that this is not the case, but her interlocutor asks, what is it then? And turns over the basket of flowers. After which, he screams that they are working hard there, and this girl is not even able to eat what they are preparing for her. And why should they serve her? And is it really only because the sanctuary's disciples are the lowest rank? Another student of the shrine says that there is no need to take out your anger on her, because collecting herbs is their job, and she thinks that the lady is now very embarrassed. But Anita asks what she's talking about, then lifts Celine by her clothes and addresses her. Celine tells the girl to let her go too, but her interlocutor asks if she stutters all the time when she is nervous, and a divine being would never be interested in such a stuttering idiot. So let her come to her senses already. The main character is in bed at this time. The maid sees that the lady begins to move, but at the same moment the main character turns to her, and she says a few words in their language, then repeats them. The girl understands what the best adapters are saying. Nobody teaches her a new language, but if she listens calmly, then over time, she will be able to remember some words. The lady goes to the window and thinks it looks like it will rain today. The lady also says it's nice, but the maid asks her if she's staying in that room. She also claims that His Highness wanted to have tea with her in the sanctuary garden, and she thinks it will be useful to breathe fresh air even in the rain. Legria thinks that she still understands almost nothing, but I'm glad for even one familiar word like tea. At that very moment, the maid tells the man behind the door to come in. At the same moment, a number of dresses are brought into the room, and the maid states that the lady is leaving the room for the first time, so His Highness asked for special attention to be given to her. These are the newest dresses created by the Empire's best designers. The main character wonders if this is all for her. She looks at one of the dresses and realizes that there is a bow on it the size of her head, and on the other, there is a bunch of ribbons and another dress is strewn with roses. But the girl understands that she wouldn't pull it off even if they gave it to her for free. Then the lady goes to another batch of dresses, but when she opens them, she sees nightwear inside. The maid insists that it will come in handy at another ceremony, and now they're getting ready to go to the garden, so he suggests they wear something else. The main character wonders why they need such underwear there. The woman at this time shows one of the dresses and asks what about it. Legria realizes that this is a simple dress with almost no decorations. It looks neat and cheaper, so it's perfect and she'll choose it. Then someone else comes into the room and asks if they're finished. It turns out to be His Highness, and he sits down on the chair and also suggests that they hurry because he does not want to waste time. At this time, the main character recalls how she thought that people were better at adapting, and this man's intentions are unclear to her, but his voice sounds like music to her ears. The maids finish dressing the lady, and she realizes that everything seems fine. The woman at this time claims that Ivsantina is almost no different from other fabrics in appearance, but is famous for its durability, and if a lady steps on it, it will not tear, and green is such a beautiful color. His Highness at this time approaches Legria, after which he touches her hair and says that he does not like it. Looks better in disarray. The main character claims that, judging by his face, he doesn't like the outfit, but he bought it for her himself. Rakik says that it is true, then he turns to the owner of the boutique and claims that he ordered something special from her, so let her bring it. The woman then agrees and brings chokers around her neck. Rakik says they'll look good on Legria, but the main character wonders if these are really dog collars, and if he has a dog since she has never seen one. The guy at this time approaches the lady and claims that any color will suit her pale skin. The main character thinks that this can't be, and she knew that he was crazy. But this is too much. The guy puts a collar on her and claims that now he likes everything. Legria thinks that this cannot be, and she cannot wear a collar, and also does not want to because she is a person and not a dog. Well, then the girl hears someone clicking their tongue. She wonders if someone really did it. After which she turns to the other ladies and thinks that even they don't like her pathetic appearance. The blonde at this time tells Legria to stop and later harms himself even more. After all, her body belongs to him. The main character thinks, okay, let him do what he wants since she's already given up. There is no one there to help her anyway, and this man holds all the power in his hands. But at the same moment, the lady hears the words that this is annoying, and let her do the same to him. The girl immediately grabs her head and realizes that it is about to split in half. The girl also begins to faint and wonders what is happening because her body is not obeying her. A little while later, the lady still hears someone talking to her. The girl gets up and wonders where she is. At that moment, the maid runs up to the lady and says she's finally woken up. The protagonist asks if it's Eos. The maid claims she was so worried when her mistress suddenly lost consciousness. She also asks how the lady is feeling, and she advised to postpone the tea party because she was worried about her health. But His Highness, the lady also wonders why the girl did this, and is lucky he forgave her this time. But such behavior is unacceptable. The main character says she doesn't understand anything and suggests the maid slow down. But the maid only asks if the lady knows how upset she was, and then asks her never to do that again. Otherwise, she will have big problems. But the main character sighs after this and thinks that it is so upsetting that they cannot speak the same language. The maid, hearing this sigh, cries out what happened, and is the lady really ill? She also says she'll call the doctor. At this point, the main character notices other maids. One of them says how annoying it is and why they have to dig in the grass in the middle of the rain. The other claims that she got the sunnets wet, after which she sighs. And the lady with blue hair notices the main character. She also wonders why she is wearing a dog collar, and another church student claims that they work non-stop, while the divine being just sits and relaxes. At this time, Anita turns to Celine, after which he grabs the girl by the neck. And he also asks if she sees what this saint has on her neck, and let her look carefully, because it is from a collar. Let the girl become like that if she wants to serve her. The main character wonders what they're doing there. And are they really mocking the girl? But this is the same one she saw on the day she appeared in this world, after which she actually hears her barking. The blue-haired lady asks if the girl sees what she said, that this holy being doesn't care about her, and that she doesn't even dream of becoming a priestess. At this time, Celine asks Anita to stop. The main character watching this understands that this is too cruel, and this girl is also a person, and also she is not a dog. But then the lady thinks that she will definitely go crazy soon. And what the hell is going on? Why do they treat people there as if they were animals? The girl also thinks they should explain something to her, even if it were an alien abduction. She'll believe anything, just let them tell her. At this point, a voice in the lady's head tells him he can't watch this anymore. And they are so noisy that the lady's body begins to move on its own and also heads out into the street. It's still raining. Meanwhile, Anita tells Celine that she's developed a good bark, and maybe she'll always talk like that so she doesn't stutter, and let her look forward to this night with impatience and be ready. But at the same moment, someone turns to these girls, and he tells them all to come there. It turns out to be a lady with red hair. after which she asks why they froze and whether they really think that she didn't remember them. Legria tells them to come quickly. One of the maids meanwhile thinks this girl sounds crazy. That is Lady Beatrice. At this time, Anita wonders if the divine being has chosen her, and also cries out to Celine, and he suggests that she tell the truth, after which he asks if the girl really lied to her. After all, she said that the lady was chosen by a divine being. But at the same time, the main character, he slaps Anita. She also thinks what is happening because her body does not obey. And she even speaks the local language, after which she turns to the girl sitting next to Anita. She asks if the lady is really talking to her, and the lady with red hair replies that yes, and let her stop crawling on her knees and also stand next to her. To which she agrees and stands next to her. But Anita claims that this is unfair, and she wonders why the lady hit her, because she hit Celine, because she didn't do her job well, and she is the head of the students, so she is allowed to do this. Well, the main character just lifts her chin and asks if the girl really decided to argue with her, and that this is such impudence. But if that's so, and she will convey her words to His Highness, Anita is surprised and asks what the lady is talking about. And the main character wonders why the girl is making such a face, because she herself said that it was unfair, and she will tell His Highness what she saw. And about her words, Anita immediately bows. And he cries out asking her to forgive him, because she didn't want to do it and will not open her mouth again, so she asks for mercy. At this time, the girl claims that it seems the arrogant priestess has understood her place, and at the same moment, the main character returns to her body. She screams and realizes that this time, the headache is even worse, and she can't take it anymore. Well, at that very moment, the girls see someone else behind them, and one of them screams that there are intruders there. Anita tells them to run, but another student claims that they will be punished, because they must protect a divine being. At this time, Celine turns to Lady Legria and says that they came for her, so she needs to go to a safe place. One of the assassins says that they will not touch the priestesses, so let them hand over the sacred creature. After all, he wouldn't want to spill any extra red liquid, so let them choose. At this point, Anita tells them to leave the girl and suggests they go. Another student asks what she's talking about, but the girl is only wondering if her colleague really wants to plunge into eternal sleep while he protects this girl. But at that very moment, someone else cries out to Anita. It turns out to be Celine, who insists that Anita can't escape, and let her fulfill her duty and protect Lady Legria. But the blue-haired lady asks if the girl has gone completely mad, after which she leaves altogether, and the other students tell her to wait for them too. Anita screams that they are cowards, but at the same moment she sees the assassin take daggers out of his pocket, and she gets very scared. But then she screams to Lady Legria and tells her not to worry because she will stay there and protect her. So then she picks up the flower basket and throws it at the assassin. The main character, watching all this, understands that she has had many difficulties in her life and therefore can cope with a lot. Well, this is too much. At that moment, the assassin lifts Selena by the neck, and she cannot breathe, so she faints. The assassin throws her, and the main character thinks about what these people want from her, and whether they really want to plunge her into eternal sleep. Well, the girl thinks it's better this way because she's tired of it. The girl closes her eyes, preparing for the worst. But at that very moment, someone knocks away all the daggers, and when the young lady looks ahead, His Highness sees her there. Rakic addresses her at this point, then turns to the assassins and asks, "How dare they harm his woman?" Legria realizes she can't even tell if this is reality or a dream, and she can't anymore. The girl at this time remembers how she said that, if you think about it, then pink would be much better. The maid then asked His Highness what was going on, and the girl wondered if Rakic would help her get up. When the guy did this, the girl thanked him, after which she approached the tray with collars. She took the pink one and asked how to open it. The guy told her to pull on both sides and to close it, push until it clicks. The girl did so and asked if it was really enough to just pull and then snap, after which she turned to His Highness and put the pink collar on him. The maid and the boutique owner were shocked by this, but the main character claimed that she thought so. After all, pink looks great and suits him very well because he is such a cute puppy. Now the main character opens her eyes and then heads to the window, and she thinks what happened and also whether she really survived well. When the girl turns around, she sees His Highness in front of her. She also looks at him and thinks, if this guy really saved her life, after which she reaches out to him. But the guy opens his eyes and asks if she's already awake. He also claims that it seems the lady was in severe shock, and the girl asks what exactly is happening because she does not understand at all what is happening to her. The blonde man claims that it is interesting, and he would like to ask the same questions about how she can speak their language and what happened to her. Legria replies that she doesn't know, and only remembers how her head hurt so much, and there was some kind of voice that she didn't recognize, after which her body moved on its own. Well, then the girl starts to think about something bad, but His Highness immediately grabs her, and he lays her down next to him on the bed, after which he claims that everything is already in the past, so let her forget about it. After all, nothing will change, and so she can simply rely on him. Rakik pulls Legria closer. The lady with red hair asks what he is doing, and her interlocutor replies that she got wet in the rain and was very cold, and he tries to warm her with the heat of his body. The latter won't think anyone wants to harm her, and she can relax and unwind. Legria understands that sometimes she feels like he's missing a couple of screws in his head, but even though it seems like nonsense, this guy doesn't try to touch her breasts or anything like that. That's why he seems like a bad person to her, and perhaps the underwear was for some other woman. The girl also thinks that she can't remember the last time she slept next to someone, and when she begins to fall asleep, she thanks Rakik for saving her today, after which they fall asleep. A short time later, His Highness leaves, and the maid claims the body collector left a note demanding compensation for the assassins who were put into eternal sleep. Rakik says that if they don't give them money, they will persecute them until the very end, so let them get their compensation. Eos claims that their methods are disgusting because they dared to demand money for people who came to take the life of Lady Legria, after which she asks how one can ask for compensation for plunging into the eternal sleep of the assassins. The guy replies that any organization that deals with such matters is doomed to remain in the shadows, and it is not Quiz that has the audacity to come into the light. Their master loves money too much. He is ready to dig through the trash to pick up a coin, and this dirty bastard will never work at a loss. The maid asks the gentleman if he has any idea who is behind all this, and the guy replies that the culprit who left this order is definitely from a neutral faction. After all, if it had been the Emperor's faction led by him, this would not have happened. The neutral faction gathered around Duke Romel's summer hedge, or the Archduke's faction, Mosgrado, who is his uncle. Everyone has the same goal: to gather as many forces as possible on their side. The Duke initially planned to strengthen his faction using his daughter, and had no intention of joining other groups. That is why they wanted to betroth her to a man from another family who adheres to neutrality. There are certainly many among them who don't want to see Duke Romel's daughter besides the princess, and this will greatly influence his future decisions. The guy claims that this is exactly what those who hired the assassins are trying to avoid. He then tells the maid to send someone to keep an eye on Archduke Mosgretto, who is practically deprived followers, but still has no motive to attack Legria. As rumors spread, the nobles will begin to act in their own interests, and the criminal will be among them. Therefore, they must turn the situation in their favor as quickly as possible. A little while later, the archbishop cries out to His Highness with a request to punish him. He can't believe that this happened just a couple of days before the sacred ceremony, and he has no excuse. But the blonde just passes by him and asks if he is afraid of going to hell after having fun with a lot of money. And what if the future crown princess is put into eternal sleep on the temple grounds? Then he guesses who will be held responsible. The archbishop immediately slams his forehead on the floor and screams that it's all his fault and will increase the number of guards and strengthen the sanctuary's internal defenses so that not a fly can get through. His Highness asks if the temple suffered any damage, and the man replies that the students in place of the priestesses were not harmed. His Highness asks if they are putting someone into eternal sleep until they pay, and it must definitely be Quiz. Well, the archbishop claims that they will be punished for running away instead of protecting the princess. Rakik says that he also heard that among the girls, there was one who treated Legria disrespectfully. His interlocutor replies that yes, and her name is Anita. This girl is the leader of all the students with good grades, but this girl will stop at nothing to get ahead. That fool told outrageous lies when she was interrogated. The blonde asks what box he's talking about, to which the man replies that she said it as if the future crown princess spoke their language, and she hit her in the face. The guy asks if Legria really hit her, And the archbishop replies that she said the lady looked like her. On Beatrice Ramel. The guy then remembers the situation with the collar, and he also says that the priest should not punish the students who ran away, but leave them alone for now. There must be a reason why they behaved so arrogantly. The blonde also says that it's time for him to go as he wants to meet secretly with Duke Ramel. He will return for the ceremony, so let the archbishop ensure that Legria does not leave the bedroom, to which he replies, that of course, and wishes His Highness a safe journey. He also mentions something else and suggests placing all the available mormala powder in the spring. The priest asks if they really need to put it all in, to which his interlocutor asks if there are any problems with that. He replies that no, and it would simply be very expensive. A kilogram of powder is 10 times more expensive than a kilogram of gold. Well, at that very moment, the priest sees the blade of a sword in front of him, and His Highness asks if this powder is really more precious than his life. The archbishop then says that if they think about it, they can provide everything for free. A little while later, the day of the sacred ceremony arrived, and the maid, with a joyful expression on her face, speaks to Lady Legria. That today is that very day. The main character asks what she's talking about, and the maid congratulates her on the ceremony. Legria asks what ceremony they are talking about, and the maid claims that Prince Rakik will arrive soon, so they need to get ready. The girl then suggests they wait, as she doesn't understand what they're talking about, and asks what ceremony. But the maid only claims that everything is ready, after which she says that, finally, it was time for ceremonial attire. The prince meanwhile walked down the corridor, asking about the preparations for the sacred ceremony. The servant replies that it is almost finished, and Lady Legria will be carried to the spring when she sits on the palanquin. But at that very moment, the guy hears the lady screaming for them not to come closer, and wonders if they think she will come like that. The maid says that now is not the time to be stubborn, and the lady had better get dressed before His Highness arrives. But the girl replies that she doesn't, and that she already looks pathetic. At this point, His Highness enters the room and addresses Eos, and asks what this mess is. The main character then turns to Rakik, and he asks what is going on, and also why they are trying to put this stupid underwear on her. The blonde claims that it would be easier if she just cried in his arms, but now the girl is stubborn. At this time, one of the servants takes something out of his jacket, and the ladies claim that for a second, she thought he was a kind person. But it's such a disappointment. The guy then says it's strange, and he thought the lady was treated very well, and let her say that he will change people if they were rude, Legria screams, so that he doesn't make her laugh. After all, everyone was kind except him, and if he wants to replace someone, then let him change himself. But the guy claims that he can't be afraid of it, after which he takes a flask of powder, and he spills it near the lady. The girl then turns to him angrily, but then begins to fall asleep. Rakik claims that no one can replace him, and also tells the maids that they will forget about Palanquin because he will carry the princess himself, to which they agree. A little while later, the girl is already lying on the floor. When she gets up, she asks where it is, but someone answers that this place is called a sacred spring, and any dirt can be washed away in it. Legria asks who needs to wash it off, and if so, she. To which the guy replies, both of them. The main character then screams at him for being such a pervert and asks if that's really why he had to put that little piece of fabric on hers. She also asks what he is going to do with her, but the blonde suggests that she calm down because she can grin as much as she wants. But that won't scare him. Legria claims that she didn't intend to, so let him do what he wants, and she'll leave. But when the lady gets ready to walk, she feels weak in her legs. The prince insists that she won't be able to move for a while, so she should rely on him. Legria asks what put down means and how she can trust him. Rakik says that resistance will lead to nothing good, and her attitude only turns him on more. The main character asks him if he was even listening to her, but the guy asks how it sounds in her language, after which they say in Korean that she turns him on. The girl then screams at him to wait and asks if he really knows Korean and has been fooling her the whole time. But the guy replies that nothing of the sort is happening, after which he lifts the lady into his arms. And he claims that he didn't say that he didn't know her language. He also asks if there was a reason not to say that he knew Korean. The number of divine languages that a creature knows how it behaves in different situations. It helps to determine the appropriate rank of Holy Knight, but the girl has already been chosen as the future crown princess, so this is all just a formality. When they enter the water, the guy says that Legrier seems calmer here, and they poured all the more mala powder into the spring. After this, the girl only tells the boy to answer honestly, and she claims that she has been trying for a long time to understand whether he kidnapped her and whether her mother asked for it. The blonde asks if it really looks like that, but the girl turns to him again, and she claims that she doesn't know anything about this place, so she asks to say at least something. Rakik claims he thinks it's time to face the truth, as they're only wasting their time. The protagonist asks what he's talking about, after which the guy claims that her red hair is very beautiful. The lady only suggests that they stop changing the subject, and she says that they are not red but black. Well, she also wanted to ask about this, so she asks what he did with them. Rakik says that's why they didn't give her a mirror. Legria asks what he's talking about, after which the guy asks if she's interested in the reason, and she will immediately understand everything if she looks into it well. This mirror is located in the center of the source, at the very bottom. Rakik says that she can't even move properly, so she should ask him for help. After all, if she wants, he can take her there. Legria asks if he really thinks she'll beg to, which the guy replies, "Not really," and a request is enough, after which he can agree. Well, then the girl moves on, and he also says that it's better for the mirror to actually be there. The lady immediately dives underwater. Leaving the prince alone, the girl heads to the bottom of the spring, but she thinks it's very deep there because she can't even see the bottom. Legria wonders what to do now because she doesn't think she can handle it on her own, and if something goes wrong, she could fall into eternal sleep. At that very moment, the lady begins to hear a voice speaking to her, and she also says that everything is fine because she doesn't have to be stubborn and just ask Rakik for help. After all, that's all she's capable of, and he'll definitely like it. After this, the main character thinks no, and she won't rely on him. She doesn't want to do what he wants. Legria understands that she won't let him manipulate her. Well, then the girl hears this voice again and then approaches the mirror. The voice says she's starting to like Legria and that her name is Beatrice Rommel. The red-haired lady asks if the girl would be comfortable in the captured body of the most beautiful woman in the empire. Legria wonders what the hell is going on and if this is really a dream, but at the same moment, the girl realizes that she can't breathe, and she had been underwater for too long, so if she didn't come back up now, it would all be over. But then the girl in the mirror grabs the lady's hand and pulls her toward her. The main character is surprised, but a moment later, she finds herself in the girl's room. The girl insists that she will feel better once she coughs up the water. She also asks if it is painful, but claims that she is glad that the lady did not beg Rakik for salvation. Legria asks where she is, to which her interlocutor replies that she is in her inner world. That is in the inner world of the girl whose body she has taken over. The protagonist asks if she is the true owner, to which she replies that she is. And they've already met. Legria asks if she was the one controlling this body, to which he replies that he knows they should have held back, but she couldn't stand it anymore. She also understands what the girl is thinking about, and there are so many questions in her head, so she will try to answer them. But before that, she suggests changing this dull environment a little, and also tells the girl to sit there. Legria asks where she should sit, because there is nothing there. But at that very moment, a table with desserts and tea appears there. The main character says that they feel like they are in a fairy tale, and her interlocutor claims that if she is surprised by everything, the conversation will never end. After which the young lady asks what is wrong with her, then body, but her interlocutor replies that she is not sure. However, she still has no reason to return. Legria asks what she's talking about, and Beatrice claims she saw all the girl's memories. And even if she returns, no one is waiting for her, and no one loves her, so she thinks that there is no reason to return. Legria says that the question is not about whether she can return or not, but she just doesn't understand how it happened, that she woke up in someone else's body. Beatrice says that if a girl asks everything in a row, the flow of questions will never end, and she will only get a headache. It's enough to know that the elders and shrines prayed for 1,000 days straight and summoned her into this world. Beatrice also says the tea will get cold, so let the girl drink it and relax. She also claims that, frankly speaking, she herself does not really understand how exactly this happened. When the main character drinks tea, she is surprised and realizes that she feels nothing. Beatrice claims that they wouldn't normally be able to talk like this, and the main character at this point hits the table and realizes that there is no sound either. At this time, Beatrice screams, "Is she really so disgusting that she was kicked out of hell?" And then, okay, if the girl doesn't plan to come back, then let her just live there and never see her mother or sister again and be free from this bullyings. Moreover, she can get what she truly desires. There, Legria asks what it is, and her interlocutor replies that it is freedom, and that's exactly what the girl wanted. To live out the rest of her years free. Beatrice also says she needs to show him something, and he also suggests going for a walk. Then they go into some dark place room, and Beatrice says that she is giving it to hers. The main character looks at this ball of thread and asks what it is. Her interlocutor answers that this is the tangled soul of that idiot, and from now on they will unravel it step by step. The main character cries out if she really needs to deal with all this, and Beatrice suggests that she try, after which the main character pulls and succeeds. Beatrice says she knew it, and that she got it on the first try. The main character screams, "Why do that?" And her interlocutor replies that he will become normal when she finishes, and the further she goes, the more this guy will rely on her. He'll be at her feet, maybe even in tears, so she wants to see it as soon as possible. Legria asks if she dragged her there to tell her about it, to which Beatrice replies that the girl is quick on the uptake. The main character asks why she can't do this, and her interlocutor replies that the inner world of the sacred night is accessible only to a divine being, and she is leading this tangle because the lady is there. She will also try to teach her everything while she still can, and during the day the lady will receive the education of a crown princess, and meet her at night and practice. The main character then asks what she's talking about and if she's really the crown princess, to which the woman replies that yes, indeed. Legria replies that she wouldn't do it and that she doesn't want to, after which everyone asks him why she should become one since she doesn't need that position. Beatrice says, "What a stupid girl," and let her listen carefully because this will be sincere advice. Let a girl never say that she does not want to become a crown princess and does not even think about it. The main character asks why, and her interlocutor replies that the reason is simple and that if she misses the opportunity to become the crown princess, then she'll plunge her into eternal sleep. They won't just throw her away, and that would be a waste of energy. After all, they could sell the girl into slavery. After which, Beatrice asks if the girl still doesn't want to become a princess. Legria replies that this is too important a position, and she cannot handle such a burden. The red-haired lady claims that it would be great if Legria were born her sister, and then suggests that they do so. After all, she can play the princess until she has a chance to escape. Legria asks what she's talking about, and the girl insists that the lady stole her body, so let her at least fulfill this simple request. Or maybe she wants her to become a plaything for some stupid knight. The main character then apologizes, and she also says that it's not even hers body, and she's acting so selfishly. Beatrice asks if she sees it because she's sure they'll be a good team, after which she even tells the girl to imitate her. It's not only men who need to stand with their shoulders wide, so let her lift her chin a little and her chest forward. Let her appear confident and impudent so that she is not underestimated, and also take advantage of the situation. To find someone who will be on her side, the latter uses everything and everyone, even friends. Make sure she remembers the name Fedor. He's her friend and quite stubborn, and he hates the divine vessel system. He will probably want to take out his anger on her, but let the girl not panic and remain brave. She will also say that she cannot believe that a guy is threatening a young and weak lady, and will ask if after that he really dares to call himself a knight. The main character then repeats these words, and the woman says that this is good. After which he claims it's time to go for a walk. Legria asks if it's really time again, and Beatrice says she can live as she pleases while she's in her body. She can laugh wildly, have fun, and shine. The woman also asserts that for now, the lady certainly won't be able to bear it if she stays there any longer. Therefore, let her quickly go out through the door, to which the main characters do not agree. But when she opens this door, she realizes that she can't see anything but her interlocutor immediately pushes her, and the girl falls into a black abyss. Beatrice says that when the lady wants to know the rest, then she'll tell you about the ugly nature of this world. Meanwhile, the main character begins to fall underwater, but at that very moment, she feels someone grab her and bring her back to the surface. The guy turns to her and asks if she is okay, and also suggests that she calmly cough up the water. The blonde also says that she is so stupid, and the girl would have been in trouble if he had not intervened. A little while later, the girl is already sitting wrapped in a cape. The guy hands her a strawberry, And he asks if the lady regrets that she found out the truth, after which the girl only claims that it tastes strange. The guy asks if she's talking about taste, and she hasn't even bitten into the strawberry. But the lady insists she's talking about the spring water, because it tastes disgusting. The guy then asks for a larger view because she nearly drowned while looking in the mirror at the bottom, but she's only concerned about the taste of the water. The lady claims that it looks like the spices that Eos added to her food, and let the guy immediately tell her what he fed her, and whether it was really that. Mormala bath salts. Its scent and taste will help him cope with the stress of his new surroundings. And the lady won't be so wary around the people of this world. The main character screams again, wondering what he drugged her with. The guy replies that he went through so much trouble to get her food, and the lady calls him a bastard. Legria claims that she looked in the mirror as he wanted, so let the guy tell her where she is. The blonde replies that these are the sacred lands of the Bellagram Empire, and they call them Uthrald. It was there that the first divine being appeared, and in memory of this legend, a sanctuary was built. And the place from which she came they call the divine world, and the people who appear from there, divine creatures or beings. The guy takes a strawberry in his mouth and claims that, simply put, this is not the world she lived in. Legria asks if he wants to say that she is in another world, and only her soul has moved. To which he replies that yes, and according to the records, there were 1,862 divine beings in total, one or two appearing each year. The protagonist then asks if there could be more. But the guy replies that she is different from other divine beings, and she is the only one who was officially summoned in this generation, so other beings will receive different treatment. The girl then asks who Beatrice is, and the guy replies that she is a vessel, and the girl took over her body. This system exists to summon a special divine being, and people become vessels voluntarily. The ritual is performed only once per generation, and 7 vessels are prepared awaiting the being's choice. The main character then asks if he is talking about choice, to which he replies that yes, and the lady herself chose this body, after which she asks if this surprises her. Rakik says that the girl is silent, and apparently, there are more than one question the main character is interested in. What about him then? Legria claims that Beatrice is her divine vessel, but who is he then? The blonde claims that it depends on her choice, because he can become the noble husband of the crown princess, who will be honored and respected by everyone. Or a bastard she'll come to hate. The protagonist realizes she doesn't want to believe him, because in their eyes, she's just a guinea pig, and his every word makes her insides clench. Well, there is one thing I didn't understand, because she would be untangling the mess going on inside him. With her own hands, the lady then grabs the strawberry from his hands, and also remembers what Beatrice said, that he'll be crawling at her feet when she's done, and she thinks she'd like to see it. Now the lady is eating strawberries, and the guy asks if Leonardo is going to mine, and it's funny. At that moment, he looms over her and claims that they say a divine being chooses a body. The one she is most compatible with, the vessel the girl chose, is an idiot, that she considered those around her to be bugs that needed to be crushed, and she was always so self-confident, that he wanted to strangle her. When the guy feels this girl's pulse, he comments on how steady it is and asks if she's at all nervous. But the lady asks why she should do this, since he won't do anything to her. The guy asks if she's sure, after which he approaches her neck, and the lady screams what he is doing, and also tells him to take his hands off her, after which she wants to hit him, but the guy dodges and then asserts that he raises wild animals in the garden of the imperial palace, and wonders if the ladies know why they consider him their master. They don't care about his position as crown prince, only about the village, and today he will show her why they obey him. The guy then begins to take off the young lady's dress, and she realizes that she does not want to become his toy, and she wonders what she should do. Then the lady remembers how she once said that it's not only men who need to stand tall, so let her lift her chin and chest forward a little, and let her appear confident as well as impudent, so that she is not underestimated. Now the lady understands that she needs to show confidence and impudence, after which she grabs the guy by the face, and she claims that she always wanted to say this because he is so handsome, cool, rich, and has a high status, and also thinks that he has a lot to offer. But he has nothing else. The guy asks what this means, and the lady notes that in her world, people fall in love. They propose and have weddings, so why can't the crown prince choose when to get married? The blonde asks if she is really suggesting to do everything the way the people of her world do, and if the lady really thinks that he will be so attentive to her. Legria claims that she doesn't expect anything from him, and she's just curious, so let him be honest. Because if you throw away his beauty, wealth, and status, what will remain? And is he sure he can win her heart without it? Rakik argues that this is ridiculous, and if she doesn't need status or wealth, then what does she need? The main character replies that she wants him to respect her. And at home, she was only ignored or humiliated, so she will not live with a person who does not know respect. The blonde claims that she has no choice, after which the main character asks why. And she can escape, but the guy claims that she came there from a completely different world, so does she really think she can do it? And he's the only person she can rely on. The main character then says it's not true, and there must be someone, after which she says, for example, Fedor. But at the same moment, the blonde man stands up and looks at her coldly. Meanwhile, a voice in her head lazily insists that he will drive her to the brink, even further into the trap if things continue like this. Therefore, let her not avoid his gaze, and not be a victim in the eyes of a predator. She also asks if the girl remembers what she said, because she needs to straighten her shoulders, and the more the lady is afraid, the more she should raise her chin and puff out her chest. So he doesn't look down on her. The guy then sighs and says, okay, and he'll do as she wishes. He will respect her, if that's what the future crown princess wants. The girl then says he shouldn't treat her like that because it makes her uncomfortable. But at that very moment, the guy picks her up and says what a picky woman she is. Legria claims that she can walk on her own, but the guy says that the stairs are cold and the lady is already frozen. The flawless crown princess will begin her training, and he will appoint a teacher tomorrow, and she will also move to another bedroom, to which the girl agrees. After which, the blonde warns her and tells the lady not to mention other men in front of him anymore. Legria thinks that there are no problems, but the sacred ceremony was over after it. A month passed, and the last leaves fell from the trees. All this time, the main character has been diligently studying, starting with politics, culture, economics, and international relations, concluding with information about the holy knights of the empire. Their power lies far beyond the capabilities of a common man. And this is the main reason Bellagram is so powerful. However, the knights pay a high price, constantly suffering from madness. Their internal measures differ from each other, but there is one thing in common. A knight goes mad from overuse of power. His inner world is covered in darkness, through which not a single ray of light can penetrate, and only mental contact with a divine being can help. Now the teacher claims that there is a knight who becomes a partner, and only one person can be purified. Of course, the lady will be able to ease the suffering of the other knights, but only the partner can completely erase it. The main character thinks that after receiving details about the knights, she decided that she would not become a partner Rakika, otherwise she will never be able to escape. At that very moment, someone screams that he can't go there and that they should stop him. At that moment, one of the maids screams out how to understand this and turns around to Sir Fedor John Severk, and also wonders what kind of display of insolence this is. At this time, the main character asks if this is really Fedor, and a voice in her head says that it is true, and this is Fedor Ian Seberek that she was talking about. The guy at that moment comes closer to the lady and addresses her as Beatrice. However, the maid screams that he is mistaken, because this is Lady Regria, so let him show respect to the future screen princess. The guy then turns to the maid and claims he only came because he learned of the presence of the man who stole the body of his close friend. But the maid cries out that access to this place is restricted. His Highness will return after the evening banquet with the ambassadors the day after tomorrow, so he should pay a visit only after receiving permission. Meanwhile, a voice in the lady's head insists that this is her chance to speak with him without Rakik, and she can win him over to her side. At this point, the maid screams at the guy again, but then the main characters turn to her and ask if she could leave them alone with Lord Fedor for a long time, because she wants to talk to him. And it doesn't take long after that she asks Lord Seberek if this is true, but he just remains silent. When the maid leaves the room, the lady says that she knows why Fedor is doing this. After all, in his eyes, she is just an uninvited guest who stole the body of his dear friend. The guy just says what a pretense this is, and asks not to call him by his name, to which the lady agrees, and also claims that he will not believe her. But she met Beatrice's soul. The guy then asks what she said. The lady asks him to believe her, saying she really did see Beatrice Fedor. insists that the saint and the body's true owner cannot meet. And does the lady really think that he doesn't know about it? But when the girl wants to say more something, then the guy doesn't listen and leaves. And he also says that it looks like he shouldn't have come. The ladies are already asking Beatrice what she should do. He says how intractable this guy is, and then asks her to convey everything exactly as she says. At that very moment, the main character screams out, "Does he really think that she is going to marry him?" The guy then turns around and the girl claims that Beatrice asked her to give him this. The guy smiles after this and claims that she said this phrase every time he was sincere with her. Well, the main character says that Beatrice also told her a lot about him, and they were childhood friends who were supposed to get married in the future. She told her that the two of them together since childhood, young Lord Siberek was timid and weak, which is why his friends often made fun of him. And Beatrice helped the Lord many times, although you wouldn't be able to tell from his appearance now. Well, then the main character is surprised because she sees tears on the guy's face. She also understands that she didn't want to make him cry. But this man, even if it looks cold on the outside, it's not like that. On the inside, the guy just pulls away after that. At this point, the protagonist realizes she's in a different place. Legria claims she's not even surprised, and he asks where she is this time. Beatrice replies that it's Fedor's inner world. The main character asks if this is really true, and her interlocutor replies that she cannot believe that the girl burst into tears after wiping away someone else's tears, and that she is such a fool. Since they are connected, they cannot escape by force. Otherwise, their consciousness will be destroyed, and the lady will turn into a vegetable. The main character claims that, judging by how it looks from the outside, it's a complete mess. Rakik's soul looked like a ball of yarn that needed to be untangled, and inside it lay a pile of stones on the ground. So the lady asks if these bricks need to be relayed. Beatrice asks what the girl is doing to Fyodor's soul, and she replies that she only once entered into a mental connection with Rakik, but didn't his attitude towards her become softer after that? And maybe it will be the same with this guy if she wants Fedor to be on her side. Then it will probably be better if she lays down as many bricks as possible. Beatrice says it makes sense, and she's impressed that the girl came up with it herself. Well, then the lady looks at her reddened hands and also claims that the real problem is that, how long can she survive this cold? Then the girl begins to wear the pieces and put them together. A little while later, the lady is already very exhausted and carries another brick. But when she puts it down, it falls on the other side, and the lady sits on the floor and coughs. Beatrice asks if she's okay, to which the lady merely asks how much time has passed. Her interlocutor replies that it's been about 6 hours, and that this time is spent in the inner world. It will vary from person to person. Legria apologizes to Beatrice and claims that she wore her out body, but she says there's no need to apologize because she's fine. The main character says her body's heavier and wonders if it's because of the fever. Beatrice at this time says that the lady cannot fall asleep, and the girl replies that she knows, but she can no longer. Then the main character wakes up and realizes that this thing is hers room, and also says that she was able, and also thought that she would plunge into eternal sleep from the cold. At this time, someone else asks why the lady is so reckless, and also suggests that she should not use this body irresponsibly. After all, it doesn't even belong to her. He also warns that he has no desire to do what he plans, but he doesn't want his close friend's body to fall into eternal sleep, so he only shares his warmth for a little while. And let the lady not misunderstand him. He also says not to underestimate the cold that the members of the Winter Watchtower family have. If she enters into a mental connection with him, she could lose her life. The protagonist asks what he's trying to do, and also tells her to take her hands off her. Well, then the lady feels pain in her hands, and when someone looks at them, they wonder if she really has frostbite, or if what is happening in the inner world has any bearing on the real matter. The boy at this time turns to Legria and claims that the family of the Winter Watchtower has the ability to directly share warmth with others. There were no other answers. The cold had penetrated deep into his body, after which he placed the lady's hand on his chest. The girl said she felt hot, and her interlocutor claims that if she still isn't accepted, the lady might push him away and he might even lose her fingers. The girl realizes that after bringing order to his inner world, she thought Fedor would become softer, but it didn't work with him. Meanwhile, the guy says that it's not all over yet, as he only temporarily halted the cold, and a second wave will soon begin. The main character asks what he is talking about, But at the same moment, she feels how the cold begins to envelop her entire body. Fyodor takes off his clothes and hugs the lady, but she only says that she is very cold. The guy then turns to the lady and says that everything will be fine soon after, which the main character completely switches off. At that very moment, she hears someone speaking to her and wonders if it is her sister. The girl sits at the piano and claims that this poor man who lost his beloved is now crying because of her. So what kind of heartless girl is she, and why doesn't she cry? But if you think about it, she's wrong. Danila didn't shed a tear when she came into this world. Does she really think she has any kind of hope? The main character asks how she found out, after which her sister claims that the lady escaped into a new body, and she should have been overcome by despair and shock. Legria screams at her to shut up, because she has never cried in this world, because she has had no reason to cry. And even if she doesn't play the piano so well, she doesn't have to live in this world, as if she weren't hiding in the shadow of her family. Well then, her interlocutor tisks and claims that anyone hearing something like that might think their relationship is over. But that's not all. Now the main character opens her eyes when someone asks how she feels. Legria asks if it is Fedor, and also thanks him for helping her, because she knows that he most likely wanted to save Beatrice's body. Well then, the guy addresses the lady by name again, and says that he thinks he already warned her, so she wouldn't mention another man's name in front of him. The main character gets out of bed and wonders why she was so mistaken. She also understands that she needs to pull herself together and say a lot, but her head is buzzing and her back is aching. Then the lady asks when he'll be back, having only told her he'll be busy. The blonde man only claims that the girl brought a man into the house in less than a month, and that she is worse than he expected. Legria replies that she didn't intend to, and that it just happened. The guy asks what happened, that they even entered into a mental connection. And it must have happened, because the lady was behaving too freely. Legria says that first, she wanted to apologize for behaving that way, and understands that she needs to remain calm, and also that she shouldn't get angry, because she will only waste her energy. The main character claims that, as a lady, she should watch her every word and gesture, but she couldn't, and it's her fault. The guy then uses his power and throws his sword. He also asks, how dare this insignificant brat? The one defending the earthly watchtower encroaches on him, and the blonde wonders what was different about his inner world. The main character claims that Rakik's inner world resembled a cat's play area with a large ball of yarn without any discernible shape. Mr. Sebareka's looked like a ruined castle in need of rebuilding. The guy asks if she's been working on this all night, and the lady replies that she didn't notice it took so long, and she also swears to it. The young man then says that she asked if he was sure. Therefore, he offers a deal, and also allows all types of contact except intimate. And if the girl is so confident in her abilities, then shouldn't he also use his most valuable weapon? The girl then asks, what if she doesn't agree, to which he replies that it will be annoying. Then he kneels and places his hands on the lady's feet. He asks how he can give up the crown princess's precious position to a woman who hates him. So he gives 100 days, and during this time, he will do everything to make the lady beg to make her the crown princess. After this, the girl tells the crown prince that she even wonders if such a person really has nothing to do. She also says that she accepts offers, but she has a request. The guy then asks her to say what she wants. Well, then she remembers her sister's words, that the lady did not shed a tear when she came into this world. And does she really think that she has any kind of hope? And if she escaped into a new body, then despair and disappointment are even more suitable for her, after which the lady tells what she wants. A little while later, the two are at the table, and the prince is wondering why God sent him a crown princess who can neither see nor hear anything. The other saints are trying to gain the most advantageous position, so why is this girl different? He can't understand whether the lady is incompetent or simply stupid. He can give her everything she wants just for hugs and mutual feelings. The lady thinks she needs to be patient and look for other options, but Beatrice suggests she stop being stubborn. After all, she said that the only way for her to survive was to become the crown princess. The girl understands that some people dream of a life of luxury, full of treasure and power, but she wants an ordinary life with the man she loves. Fedor was her chance, and she had to run away with him. Then Beatrice asks if the girl really plans to fall into eternal sleep. At that moment, the maid approaches His Highness and claims that she has prepared everything he asked for in the morning, after which he says the state is good and also asks for forgiveness, but claims that they will finish their meal there because he wants to show her one place, and it is better to go there now. The main character asks where they are going, and the guy extends his hand to her and replies that they are going on a date. A little while later, they enter the room with the tools, and His Highness says that this is for her: a piano and string instruments and music books stacked on every shelf. The girl claims she only wanted one instrument. Well, he says that he didn't know her tastes, so he prepared all the known sacred instruments. Legria asks if he knows about sacred music, to which he replies that of course he does. After all, the saints who were called earlier had been dropping their culture for a long time, and if the lady waited, he would hire her a tutor. But the girl replied that she didn't need one. And over a long period of time, she made countless efforts to get along with him, and also to play at least a little better while struggling between hate and love. Sometimes she was offended and obsessed, leaving only one hope. Then the lady begins to play some melody, and the guy says that it is so beautiful, and also asks what kind of song it is. The lady replies that it is a song called Winter by Vivaldi, and this is the second part of it. His Highness asks why exactly she and what it means, and the lady replies that she played it because it is winter now. She also says that he is more jealous than he seems, but the guy is only interested in whether there are other melodies that express the seasons. The lady then asks, what about playing a more serious melody? But when she is about to do it, the guy stops her and says that he wants to hear from someone who is similar to her. Legria asks what he's talking about, and the guy claims that when you watch a performance, you can learn a lot about the person who shows it, and her skill is honest without grace, as if a simple and stupid person without refined taste is playing. The main character asks what he can say about her without knowing anything about the piano, but the guy claims that sharp, rapid, and straight lines suit her better than smooth, flowing lines. After which, he begins to play Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. The main character is surprised and clenches her fists, and the guy claims that she has great talent, but he doesn't understand why ladies play in a manner that is not suitable for them. He asks who the lady studied with and whether it was her parents, to which he replies that at first she did not have people worthy of being called a mother or a teacher. Sometimes sister taught her and corrected her habits, and also pointed out her mistakes, as if feeding a pathetic dog. Legria claims that her sister was a genius, and of course this is true, because she had perfect pitch, and they called her the piano fairy, even she couldn't deny it. The blonde man wondered if the girl envied her, to which she replies that yes, and very much so, and also understands that she became withdrawn, because for some reason she could not play better than her. The main character says that this is who she is and wonders if it's funny. Legria also claims that she shouldn't have been playing the piano with such skills, and that she desired what she was unworthy of. So she ended up like this and simply disgraced herself. Rahik claims that when people see a genius in front of them, most feel depressed and untalented, so it's not her fault. He also claims that he will introduce her to the best pianist in their empire, who will be able to significantly improve her game, and then she will get rid of the tennis player who is falling on her only hope. Well, he also has a request. The main character claims that she will listen to him first, and the guy claims that now she can even make him laugh, after which he approaches her. And the lady asks what he wants to, which he replies that he wants her to kiss him on the lips. The young lady realizes this is strange and wonders how such harsh words can be so soothing. She also can't believe that someone who lives solely for their own pleasure can understand her so well. Rakik's face, one can now definitely read something that eclipses even a genius. And this man? Well, at that very moment, the guy clicks his tongue and asks what she's doing now and why she's closing her eyes. He also claims that she should be the one kissing, and not him, after which the lady screams what a scoundrel he is, and wonders if he did it to make fun of her. The blonde replies that yes, it's fun, and it was so unexpected. It was almost embarrassing. She really is fun to tease so much, so that he might get used to it. The main character smiles after this, and the guy claims that a smile has finally appeared on her face. And from now on, instead of frowning, let her smile. At stern social events, a smile will be a powerful weapon. The main character asks if he talks about social events, and he claims that soon the highest-ranking nobles will gather at the imperial court to greet her in advance, and this is a kind of preliminary rehearsal, so that she will not be awkward when entering society as the crown princess. Bukovac will arrive there. He is a wiry old man who has just turned 70, but he is undoubtedly the best pianist in the country, and he also taught him to play the piano. Since they've already played the piano, the guy asks if they should look at other instruments. He also asks which of all the stringed instruments the lady plays best, and she replies that she prefers the cello. The guy argues that it would be better to reveal her piano skills later and show her how to play. The cello Legria asks if she really needs to play it. His Highness responds that this is an opportunity to showcase her cultural development as a future crown princess. Playing musical instruments is a basic skill, and dance is also essential, so preparation will take a long time. Legria asks if she really needs to dance too, to which her interlocutor replies that yes, and she will dance with him. Rakik asks if she doesn't like it, to which the lady replies that it's not the matter, and that she's simply never danced before. The guy tells her not to worry about it, and to relax, and leave everything to him. Well, the lady claims she needs a lot of practice, but maybe he's danced a lot but she hasn't. Rakik claims he can't leave things as they are once the lady comes to him, and it will be polished, cleaned, and polished, so that it becomes the most beautiful precious stone. The guy also asks what perfume the lady used today, and she replies that she doesn't remember, and apologizes because it slipped her mind. After which, Rakik says that it must be the smell of her sweat, but the lady suggests that he not say that. The guy says that come to think of it, they need to test their compatibility in bed before getting married. The main character asks what he's talking about, and Rakik asks if she's not curious if he's good at this, and the girl then shyly asks what he's talking about. She also says that she is not interested and that she was simply surprised, but her interlocutor replies that he is interested, after which he kisses her, the main character, then begins to lose her breath and realizes that this is a man. The more she tries to free herself, the more he prevents her from doing so, and it's like a swamp that could cost her life, after which the guy moves away and says, "That's all for today. Tomorrow, he will send her some books, so she can study from them, and next time, he will not stop at just one kiss on the lips." The girl then says that she needs another assistant, and there is one girl among the novices. His Highness states that Ia should be enough, to which the lady replies that she knows, but it is not a difficult request. The guy then apologizes, but claims that he doesn't think he'll be able to perform it now. But when the main character kisses him again and calls him by name, the guy is surprised, and the main character tells him to give the girl to her. At this time, in the office of the head of the Sacred Knights of the Paladins, someone says that in a week, a secret event will be held in the Great Sanctuary. The guy also asks the gentleman if he will go there, to which he replies that he was invited. "So we'll have to go." The red-haired guy claims they don't know what the crown prince is planning against them. "And didn't something happen in the saint's bedroom the other day?" Fedor tells Dietrich that his sister is alive. Brother Beatrice tells him not to have high hopes, because even so, he will not be able to exorcise the saint and return his sister to consciousness, to which he replies that you never know for sure, and there must be a way to expel the saint from Beatrice's body before it is too late. He will return Beatrice's body a week later at the shrine. Someone asks if she can clean it more thoroughly. The woman also asks Anita how many times she needs to tell her that today there will be an important ball at which high-ranking nobles will gather. Therefore, let her not be lazy and work hard, so that not a speck of dust remains. At this time, someone says that there is probably Her Highness. When Anita turns around, she sees the holy being and Celine. The girl claims that this month is the month of bare branches, and the next one is the month of frozen ones lakes. Then comes the month of St. Johannes. Celine answers this absolutely accurately, and spring will begin with the month of blooming flowers. Anita at this time is shocked and asks if this is really Celine, and if she has become the crown princess's resident priest. The girl then turns to Anita and sticks out her tongue. A little while later, she and the screen princess enter the dressing room. Celine claims that the ball will take place in the Sacred Hall of Fame, and all the dresses and other necessary things will be brought there. The girl also says that there is still time left and asks about cooking. Lilia, who has diabetes, replies that she does not, and that she is not hungry. Then the maid says that the lady can read the book 10 Behavior Options that are worth studying before meeting with nobles at events. Legria says that she will refuse and asks if the girl can first come and tidy up her hair. A little while later, someone asks to greet His Highness, the son of Bellegrim, and Lady Legria Rommel, the star of Bellegrim. The two enter the hall, after which His Highness says that the celebration will begin. When the main character moves on, someone says that she doesn't look like an evil person at all, And if Beatrice became a saint, then it's for the best, because who needs a useless troublemaker? The main character whispers that this doesn't seem like an atmosphere full of compliments, and His Highness replies that this is not surprising, and asks if she knew the name of the body's previous owner. The girl understands that she was called a mad dog since she was 5 years old. She wore a dress. From wilted flowers at flower-themed balls, she enjoyed spending time with the young men, dressing as a man, smoking cigarettes, getting drunk and cursing. The main character wonders if Beatrice really didn't care what others thought. A little while later, the main character turns to Beatrice in her thoughts and says that she really didn't care what other people thought, to which you reply that that's why she had quite a lot of enemies. The protagonist asks if she's talking about the many enemies and if she's really only telling her this now, considering she's trying to find the one who will help her escape from Ballygram. Beatrice asks what to do and suggests simply surrendering. At this time, the blonde turns to Legria and says that although Beatrice's reputation is very bad, it depends on how she shows herself at today's ball. She can transform from a mad dog into an ideal lady who will be praised by all of high society. So let her smile like a noblewoman, because a smile is her only weapon. At this time, someone else approaches His Highness and claims that this old man has come to see the future crown princess. He also claims there hasn't been any good news in recent days due to the escaped barbarians, and even in such a situation, his heart is happy to see His Highness's strength and spirit. The blonde claims he's heard there are major problems at the border. His interlocutor replies that this is true, because these ignorant savages have changed their tactics, making raids at night, riding on animals, and they have already defeated 7 soldiers. Well, the main problem is that they can control animals, after which the man asserts that he considers this a valuable and correct decision. Find the lair of these animals and burn it to the ground along with their offspring. He also appeals to the crown princess, and he asks what she thinks about this. The girl understands that, without a doubt, her mother and sister looked at her in a similar way many times. Moreover, this is clearly a mockery, and this question is a kind of test, because they all want to see what kind of person she is, depending on the answer. The attitude of the nobles towards her will change. Either she will remain a mad dog with an attitude to match, or she will be worshipped as the future crown princess. The man then says that he is so ignorant, and the new saint should be uncomfortable with such conversations. The girl then asks to be allowed to express her opinion not only as a saint, but also as the future crown princess. Beatrice asks Legria if she's lost her mind, considering she's completely unaware of the empire's position on the international stage. The protagonist thinks the lady is underestimating her, since before coming there, she studied using books Rakik gave her. Beatrice says they can just wait it out quietly. Well, the main character claims that she is no longer looking for easy ways, and now she is the future crown princess and can no longer run away and keep quiet as she did before. The girl claims that, frankly speaking, she has little understanding of military matters, after which the man smiles and says that he thought so. However, the lady claims that she knows that war further fuels anger and hatred between people, and one day they will have to pay dearly for it. The man then asks if this is true, and claims that the lady has a very unconventional way of thinking, but such conclusions could put their country in danger. The girl claims that this is not a matter of unusual thinking, and she would call it resourcefulness, because a little earlier he stated that the only solution could be the burning of all these animals, starting with their offspring. And does he really think that way? And does he really think about killing everyone, including the newborns? The man replies that it's exactly like that. After all, if even one remains alive, the fire of resistance will flare up into a bright flame. In that case, they simply won't leave a single living soul. The main character says she would be in their place. In order to resolve the conflict and soften the differences between them, she would first meet with their leader and find out what they want. The man asks if she really wants to have a dialogue with animals, and the lady insists that this is not an ordinary conversation about the need to build diplomatic relations. Her interlocutor claims that they certainly have diplomats as well, but it is extremely doubtful that the barbarians will be able to understand them. Legria argues that it is not only barbarians who have problems understanding what is said to them. The man asks what she means, and the lady states that bloodshed alone cannot bring victory, and that sometimes one must be able to gain the upper hand without engaging in combat. Her interlocutor asks if the lady is now talking about war, and he asks her to forgive him, but claims that she is crossing the line. After all, military affairs are not a subject that a lady should understand, and knights have more experience in this matter. But the girl says that's strange, and that it means he initially attacked her with questions she has no right to engage in. Could it be that he asked them with the intention of embarrassing her in front of others by causing her embarrassment? The man replies that he in no way meant that, and the lady claims that he mentioned knightly experience, and that he himself doubts the existence of one. The man screams out what she said, and the lady says that according to the information, she found the number of citizens of Belgium who died as a result of the military leadership's poor decisions exceeds the number of those who were put into eternal sleep by the people they call animals. But at that very moment, the man cries out furiously. He also says that to protect citizens, the military leadership is waging a war where many lives are at stake, and no one dares to insult the military leadership, and moreover, those who are not knights are not allowed to conduct such conversations, and they have no right to do so. Since the future crown princess is still poorly informed about this, he generously forgives her. But at that very moment, the guy notices his finger and sees that it is bent, after which he screams out. The main character is surprised by this, and His Highness who bent his finger claims that whether it is pacifying barbarians or teaching manners, it is stale trash that has long since rotted. If you put pressure on them and make them feel fear that goes right to their bones, they won't be able to even think about going against you. After which, he turns to Legria and claims that this is how one suppresses a rebellion, not by talking. The decision regarding his incompetence will be made by the military court later, and he orders Lord Seberek to take Rixen into custody. The lady then sees Fedor passing by His Highness, then tells the Lord to appoint one of the paladins to the position Rixen was responsible for. He can pick up the documents about the appointment of temporary command from Joshua on the way back, after which the guy asks if everything is clear, to which he replies that he will do as he orders, after which he takes the man away. When he passes by the main character, the girl thinks about something. Rakik approaches her, holding 2 glasses in his hands, and suggests that they continue celebrating without the criminals. The guy also asks if she would like champagne, and also suggests that she make her face simpler, because today is a wonderful day. Legria asks if he really used her under the pretext of checking. My boyfriend asks if she talks about him, after which the lady tells him not to pretend, because that's why he made her read all sorts of documentation. Sir Rixen looked down on the saint, and the moment he made a mistake, he was going to get rid of him. The guy then turns to Legria and claims that he did it because he showed disrespect to her. But the lady wonders if he really thinks that if she puts a lot of pressure on him, this man will treat her with respect the next time they meet. And he replies that if he doesn't want to lose his head and give it to the street dogs to eat, then he has no other choice. A little while later, the girl is already playing the cello. In front of other aristocrats, the man who plays the piano best in the empire is also looking at her. And when the lady finishes her performance, people immediately exclaim what a wonderful performance it was. And she radiates nobility, a man who can play the piano. He also claps and claims that the lady's performance was stunning, which he can't even believe. He also claims that the lady is a true gift to this country, for she performed one of Schubert's masterpieces so sweetly. The ladies claim that Sir Schumann overpraises her, and that she still lacks much. But at the same moment, someone else says that this is incredible and truly magnificent. It turns out to be a lady with pink hair. She claims that she just got to the party hall, and there is a cello playing there. This performance is so wonderful that she runs as fast as she can. The main character then thanks her, but wonders who it is. After which, the lady takes the main character by the arm and says that she missed her sister so much. The lady with pink hair says that it is she and her only sister. And also, the street, doesn't she recognize her? Legria understands that this cannot be, because in the summer hedges, there are only a daughter and a son, and it is impossible for them to have not even a small child, but an adult daughter. At this time, the lady with pink hair whispers in the girl's ear that she is separately pretending not to recognize her. She also asks why the girl is so surprised, and then once again addresses her as a sister. At this time, the man who knows how to play the piano says, "This is bad manners, and Her Highness may not know the young lady." The girl with pink hair then says that it is true, and she was so happy to see her sister that it flew out of her head. After which, the girl bows and claims that she is the second flower of the summer hedge and that her name is Giselle Rommel. Before that, she's also Dietrich Rommel's older sister. The blonde then asks if she's telling him she's the Rommel family's daughter. But then he claims that he is hearing this name for the first time, after which the girl says the state is quite possible. After all, she'd been suffering from health problems for a long time, and she'd only just returned home. Beatrice insists it's complete nonsense and that she's never heard of this little brat. The protagonist asks if she's sure, and won't they behead her if it turns out to be a lie? Beatrice insists she swears on her conscience, and the Duchess definitely picked her up somewhere in the slums. The main character asks, in what sense? After which the girl sees her mother and heads towards her. And Beatrice says that the witch with the icy heart has finally arrived. She is also the bearer of many names and the head of House Rommel. At this time, the woman claims that she did ask to wait a little and asks where the girl ran off to so quickly. His Highness at this time turns to the Duchess and bows, and also tells His Highness the Crown Prince that because of them, the festive atmosphere was spoiled. And since they are also responsible for being late for the appointment, her youngest daughter will perform something entertaining for them as an apology. The girl claims that she has been practicing for a while and is a little embarrassed, but she will show them her skills. At this time, the main character is thinking why this girl would suddenly play. His Highness at this time looks at Legria and then states that it sounds good. He also claims that the time has come for the future crown princess to perform on the piano. The lady with pink hair asks if this is true and says that she really wants to let her sister listen to her playing as soon as possible, after which she keeps asking him if she can go first. A little while later, the girl is already performing a melody. Legria realizes she knows this melody, and it's Beethoven's Emperor, her favorite composition, the one she plays most often. So she can't help but recognize her little sister's playing. At that moment, someone says it's simply magnificent and made them want to dance from the very first notes. The main character understands that everyone admires her, which is why she is so stupid, and she thought that she could finally escape to a world where her little sister was not, and that she could become happy, but it still ate her up from the inside. And all those wounds that were inflicted on her by the neglect and endless comparison she experienced in her childhood years are now making themselves felt. At this time, the blonde asks if the lady remembers what he said about her musical skills, and her mastery is honest and without grace, as if a simple and stupid person without refined taste plays. So let her remember that smooth flowing lines don't suit her any better. And the swift straight ones. The lady with pink hair ends her game at this time. Some people say it's amazing, and it seems like she could give a solo concert right now, so they want to hear her again. The main character realizes that for a long time, she has been trying to surpass her younger sister, but she has not succeeded. However, she couldn't give up either, and she simply had no choice. This was the only thing she could do. The girl understands that if she is not going to win, she will not even try, but will simply perform her own music, after which she remembers that it is better for her to play not smooth flowing lines, and sharp and rapid straight lines, after which the lady begins the game, and one of the people asks if this is not Beethoven's pathetic sonata. At this time, the emperor watches the Duchess and realizes that she has lost her daughter and brought home a new one that same day. Because all his attention was focused on Legria, he completely lost sight of Duchess Rommel. She introduced everyone to the saint, who was supposedly her secret daughter in this very place for one single reason. This is to demonstrate their commitment and further strengthen the Rommel family's position as a representative of the Leonid faction, despite Ruggieri becoming crown princess. At this moment, the girl finishes playing the piano, and people immediately start clapping their hands. The man claims that it is truly unimaginable, and his heart is about to break, and pain and comfort all merge together in this melody. So it's simply astounding. The main character thanks him, and the pink-haired lady claims their sister is absolutely incredible. She also wanted to chat with her, after which the girl asked how her sister learned to play the piano. The girl once again addresses her as a sister, and asks why she doesn't answer her and let her talk to her about music. Legria replies that later, but the lady with pink hair says that she wants it now. She also tells the lady to wait because she's going with her. The main character silently asks her to stop. Well then, someone takes the pink-haired girl's hands and says, "That's enough." It turns out to be Fedor, after which he asks the lady not to come closer, but she only screams that she is in pain. The guy claims that since she hasn't yet officially made her debut in high society, he doesn't blame her for her lack of manners. However, if she continues to behave so rudely, then one warning will not end everything, after which he asks if the lady heard him. But then His Highness suggests that Lord Seberek stop. He also says that the boy has arrived just in time, and it seems the future crown princess is very tired. Therefore, let Lord Seberek escort her to the restroom, to which he agrees. The girl then grabs her hand and looks furiously at the main character. A short time later, she's already heading to her room. Then the lady turns to Lord Seberek and expresses her deep gratitude. Remains silent in response, and the girl understands that she knew it all along, because he doesn't even want to talk to her. Because of what happened that day, Fedor tells the girl that when they're alone, she doesn't have to address him that way, and you can just call him by his first name. A little while later, someone says that high society should have revolved around her, and they promised, and she experienced such shame, so why are they just leaving? The pink-haired lady claims that she is now an aristocrat too, even though this is not her official debut. Well, she was planning to at least show herself to the high nobility by the end of the evening. Almost no one was interested in her performance. Meanwhile, the Duchess asks her son how long they'll have to wait for the carriage. The guy replies that she will arrive soon, and the lady with pink hair tells her mother that it is because of Legria. Everyone ignored her, but she was only too happy. The girl asks if her mother is even listening to, which her mother replies that she is, and Giselle seems very angry. The girl exclaims that of course she's very angry, and asks if her mother isn't angry. But the woman is interested in what will change from her anger. And maybe this is the fact. The girl couldn't get Schumann Bukovac. The pink-haired lady gets scared and says it's all because of her sister. After all, she is to blame for everything. But the woman asks if this is true, and answers that no, and the saint is her older sister. Ballygram together, the girl's brother then suggested that she speak more quietly. After all, they are right in front of the sanctuary, but the girl screams out what he is talking about, after which the young man with red hair says that the lady should also pay attention to how she addresses the Duchess, and she should call her not mother, but your highness. She's not even the real Giselle. The girl then screams, "What did he just say?" But at that very moment, the Duchess addresses her by name and claims that she has observed how the lady moves today, and she thinks that she should certainly be taught manners very thoroughly. The girl is shocked by this and says nothing more. At the same moment, the guard who was standing near the door. He takes off his hat and puts on his glasses. Meanwhile, the main character is in her room thanking Lord Seberek, but then she corrects herself and calls him by his name. The guy then smiles and says that the lady's performance was magnificent. Well, when he leaves, the girl can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Beatrice asks what's wrong with her, and the main character replies that she can't stand up straight. Beatrice says that the lady performed so brilliantly, although she is so nervous that she can hardly stand on her feet. Legria replies that it is not because of the performance, because she is more concerned with the lady with pink hair. Because it was undoubtedly her younger sister Beatrice, says the girl doesn't even have proof, and she replies that this is her game, and she understood when she saw the performance. This girl also definitely herself, I recognized her. At this time, the owner of the body suggests that the lady report her to the sanctuary, but the main character asks why. Beatrice replies that she already told her about this in the Hall of Fame, because the Duchess clearly picked up that girl somewhere in the slums. Legria thinks this is true, but her interlocutor claims that the discovery of illegally summoned saints is immediately reported to the sanctuary. These are saints who are summoned by scoundrels, like the Duchess, to sell them as slaves. The protagonist asks who they sell the slaves to, and Beatrice replies, to all sorts of scoundrels among the holy knights. But at that very moment, the girl hears some strange sound, and when she turns around, he sees that it's a window. Legria says the Duchess does something similar, but asks why, and her interlocutor replies that the woman uses saints as weapons. The main character asks if this is possible, to which the girl replies that the power possessed by the saints is very valuable. Legria then asks if she is forcing them to establish a mental connection with the saint and the knights against their will. Beatrice claims that the lady herself knows perfectly well that after entering into this relationship with them, knights who were previously rude and cruel become surprisingly friendly. If a saint like Giselle enters into a mental connection without becoming a partner of the Holy Knight. Then she has the opportunity to make them all allies of House Rommel. The main character then says that this is unbelievable and claims that this cannot be done. Beatrice asks what she is talking about, after which the lady talks about Fedor, because he touched Giselle when he tried to protect her, and the girl asked if everything would be okay with him. Beatrice replies that the girl had already touched him in the most secluded places all night long. Even if Giselle tries to have a relationship, nothing will come of it, because the lady seems to have left her mark on Fyodor's inner world. Legria asks if the girl wants to say that he can only do this with her, and she replies that most likely attempts to have a relationship with another saint immediately cause the strongest rejection. Then the lady asks what will happen to him if she disappears without a word. Beatrice asks if the lady is really worried about him now, even though she herself was planning to use him to escape from Rakik. The main character is feeling unwell at this time, and Beatrice asks what's wrong with her. Again, Legria claims that she is going to vomit. At this time, he turns to her again and apologizes, but says that something seems to be bothering her, so the guy asks if she would like a sedative. The main character is about to take the flask, but then he suddenly pulls away. This guy had appeared so suddenly. The young man then tells the girl to wait and asks her not to scream. After all, he doesn't want to harm her, but he was just interested in looking at the one his older brother is marrying. The main character asks if he's talking about his brother, to which he replies that he is, and his name is Eva, and Rakik is his older brother, Legria. Claims he's lying and she's never seen anyone named Eva. In the imperial family's genealogy, the guy replies that of course she hasn't seen it. After all, he is the son of the emperor's mistress. The lady probably wouldn't have been so surprised if he had introduced himself to her earlier. But it will do. In any case, he's glad to meet his sister. The boy also says that there's a very old stone tower in these thickets. The lady can explore her surroundings and find a switch that opens a secret tunnel. And if she goes inside, she'll see some very interesting things. The main character asks if there's really anything there. At this point, the guy realizes that he thought the lady would turn out to be an obedient pet, but it seemed she was only pretending to be on a leash. And the calm with which she greeted the stranger, without even trying to scream, surprised him. The girl also told him to try this sedative first, and the guy did just that. He understands that it was her cleverness that made her treat the drink, the composition of which was unknown to her, with suspicion and caution, and also courage and a willingness to take risks. The guy then approaches the lady and says, "Just for a second." Even though she doesn't move, the main character asks why, after which the guy replies that something inside this is a secret. But sister is so cute that the girl asks if he is really making fun of her. The guy asks what to do, and it seems he has really fallen in love with his sister, so he asks if she wants to marry him. He will make sure that she does not have to give birth, and the two of them will live happily ever after. At this time, the main character turns to Ewa, to which he responds, but at the same moment, the girl hits him on the head. The young man immediately asks why she is fighting, and the lady wonders why all the men there are throwing around words about marriage. And is marriage really a joke for them? But the guys answer that he is not joking and is ready to answer for his words. If the lady marries him, he will ensure her a long life, and she will not have to plunge into eternal sleep ahead of time like other saints. Legria asks what he just said, but at that moment someone knocks on the door and asks if it is Lady Legria inside. The main character asks if it's Fedor, and the guy with dark hair says that this annoying champion of justice has shown up, after which he apologizes to his sister and also grabs her. The girl is surprised by this, and she asks what he is doing, but he replies that she should help him a little. At that very moment, Fedor bursts into the room and screams at Legria, after which everyone sees him next to her, Eve. The brunette says that Sibarakov has a very harsh manner of knocking, but his interlocutor screams, calling the guy by name. But he only asks if he wants to stop looking at him as the concentration of all the world's evil. After all, he could be in pain too. Fedor asks if he himself isn't of imperial blood. So how much longer is he going to act like such a complete scumbag? Eva says they haven't seen each other in a while, and the main character starts coughing because she can't get enough air. Eva claims that when he is nervous, he has poor control over the strength in his hands, and usually he would be happy to wrestle Fedor. Well, right now he's too hungry, so they'll play next time. The guy lets the girl go and addresses her as his sister. He thanks her for her help and says he's ready to wash his hands of it. The latter will keep what happened today a secret from his older brother, after which the boy says goodbye. When he leaves, the Lord asks the girl if she is hurt. A little while later, the girl is already sitting in the garden. She understands that, judging by the Lord's reaction, the words about Ava being Rakik's half-brother were not a lie. At this time, the maid turns to Her Highness, and the girl understands that what really worries her is why he decided to meet with her and whether this is really a trap. Celine asks if the mistress is worried about anything, to which she replies that she is not. The woman claims she doesn't look well, after which the protagonist replies that she is fine, and apparently it's because she's feeling a little sleepy. The lady also thinks that if this isn't a trap, she should go to the tower he told her about, because everything will become clear there. Legria suggests the maid take a walk and shake off her drowsiness, but Celine says the weather today is completely unsuitable. The main character asks how it is inappropriate because it is quiet and nice now, so she went. A short time later, the two find themselves in a rose garden. Legria turns to the maid and asks if Lord Seberek had by any chance told her anything, to which she replies that there is nothing like that. And the lady with red hair asks if there are any strange rumors about the sanctuary. Celine asks what rumors she is talking about. The main character suggests she ignore them. The girl thinks that it's a bit strange because so much happened yesterday, but there's such silence there, as if nothing happened, and security hasn't increased. But the girl thinks that this is only one hand for her, because she sees the stone tower that Ava spoke about. Celine asks Her Highness if she would like to return, because it seems that it will rain soon, and the main character thinks what she should do with this child, because she does not want her to have problems because of her. At that moment, the girl notices that her dress is caught on a branch and asks how this happened. Goes back like this and accidentally bumps into someone. Her reputation will suffer greatly. The maid immediately tells Her Highness that she will bring her something to wear, and the main character asks if this is true. After which, the girl claims she'll be right back, and Legria thanks her. She also says the maid's attack will fall, so there's no need to rush, and she can go more slowly. When the maid is already far away, the main character turns around and heads towards the tower. A little while later, the lady is already next to her and thinks that she is lucky, because if it weren't for the cloudy weather, she would never have noticed him, and the mechanism must be located somewhere near the door, after which the lady presses one of the plates, and the door to the tower opens. The protagonist looks at this entrance and the darkness within it. Then lightning strikes the sky. A short time later, the girl is already descending the stairs, thinking she can't believe it. After all, there was such a room in the sanctuary. The lady also wonders why Beatrice suddenly went silent, and whether she no longer wants to help her. Well then, the main character says that she should do as she knows, and she also could use her help. At that very moment, the girl steps on her dress and begins to fall down the stairs. When she is already at the bottom, she realizes that she has injured her leg, but at that very moment, the lady sees a door in front of her. When she goes there, she realizes that there is a terrible stench and wonders what kind of place this is. Legria understands that this is just a dungeon and wonders if the truth about Rakik is hidden in such a place. At that very moment, someone cries out, "Is this creature really not going to open its mouth today?" He probably won't make a sound from the tone he uses salt water, and apparently he is persistent, so the man screams for them to bring him the rezgi. He also claims that since ancient times, it is known that cattle should be thoroughly whipped to make them obey. So they'll see if he continues to keep his mouth shut when the main character sees a horrific scene before her, and the guy covered in red liquid is shocked. The man boasts about him again and screams what a barbaric scum he is. Legria thinks that this is too cruel, and how much he had to sin to be treated like this. But at the same moment, the lady notices how this guy is looking at her. She immediately hides around the corner and realizes that he definitely saw her, so she thinks about what to do. At this time, from the other side of the corridor, someone asks if they were able to loosen the tongue of the barbarian they locked up. Another man asks for forgiveness, and Rakik says what pathetic nobodies they are. At this time, the main character enters one of the cells and hides behind the wall, after which she hears. Rakik walks behind her with a servant. The blonde insists he'll make this guy talk himself, after which he orders his friends to be brought in. The main character realizes that it is Rakik's voice, and he wonders why he's there. His Highness asks why the guy isn't saying anything, And does he really console himself with empty hopes that his Varvara friends will save him? But after that, the boy only spits out the red liquid. At that moment, someone informs His Majesty that they have been brought, after which the blonde tells the boy to look, because his father is his friends too. One of them cries out to Viken and asks them to forgive him, because they've all fallen into eternal sleep. Rakik claims that this was a very interesting trick for Varvara, but the guy just screams something. Rakik says that now that he has started talking, he should tell them where their base is, if he doesn't want to see his comrade's head on the floor, and if he tells them about the base, his friends, and he will be freed. Well then, the man who is in the hands of His Highness claims that the steppe people are true to their beliefs. The blonde squeezes his throat tighter and says he'd better accept his offer while he's being so generous. However, the guy only cries out to Vikan and insists that if they were to enter into eternal sleep, they would be blissful in the land of warriors. His Highness claims that even if he says heaven and the like don't exist, he still won't understand, after which he plunges the man into eternal sleep. The young man watching his colleague fall cries out in despair, but Rakik claims that it is too early to shout because there is still one left. He takes another Varvara and says that he is giving him one last chance. If a guy wants to save his friend, then let him tell where their base is. However, he remains silent, and Rakik asks if he is laughing and is so scared that he has lost his mind. The guy then claims that he heard the story of the devil, and this son was unable to gain his father's recognition. So he sympathizes with him. At this point, one of the servants cries out, "How dare he say such a thing?" However, His Highness tells him to wait and asks if he really just said that he sympathizes. It seems to her that his friend's screams won't be enough, especially since the guy even started talking about pity. Then, he is very grateful, after which the man uses his power and plunges the guy's friend into eternal sleep. The main character watches as a man falls into eternal sleep under the influence of lightning and wonders what she just saw and whether this man is really no longer alive. But the lady thinks that this can't be. And how can one treat a person like that? At that moment, one of the servants turns around and the girl immediately hides around the corner. Meanwhile, Vikan cries out to be put into eternal sleep. After all, war isn't scary. However, the blonde replies that it's a pity, but he's not going to put him into eternal sleep just yet. Instead, until the guy talks, he'll keep dragging his friends there. Vaken screams that he's just a devil, and his interlocutor replies that this is true, and from now on, he will pay for sympathy for the devil. After which, Rakik bursts into laughter. The main character thinks this is no longer a joke, but an unusual performance. It looks more like a dream, so the girl thinks that this won't work for her. She needs to leave before it's too late. And also you need to hurry. But when the lady goes further, she sees a closed door in front of her. She thinks what she should do now, because if she opens the door now, it will definitely be heard, and Rakik will notice her, while the lady understands that she can't stay there any longer. At that moment, His Highness hears some sound and turns around. The servant asks what happened, and he tells them to be quieter. At this time, the main character runs up the stairs with all her might, and Rakik, hearing sounds, says that there was an uninvited guest there, after which he orders to seize him. One of the servants at that moment tells the knights to follow him, to which they agree. The main character runs away at this time and realizes that deep down she is honest. She hoped that Rakik could turn out to be a good person, even if he had a peculiar character, and she didn't even imagine that he was such a devil. But now, thanks to Eva, she finally realized one thing, and that is that Rakik is one of those people you should stay away from. Therefore, she absolutely must escape from him. At that very moment, someone addresses Her Highness, the future crown princess, and he asks what she's doing there. A little while later, His Highness sets off in a carriage. Someone informs him that the Duchess is accompanied by the younger sister Legria. The man asks if he's talking about a lady named Giselle. The servant replies that more accurately, he's talking about the saint who resides within her body. The guy then talks about sisters who became saints, and his interlocutor claims that although such cases are extremely rare, similar precedents have already taken place. Blondie says that in 372 it was Agnes Linwood and Balkendor Wogrick, as well as Susanna Wincombe. They were involved in the Farges scandal. Agnes Linwood and Susanna Wincombe were also saints whose bodies contained the souls of their sisters. Agnes was the elder and Susanna the younger. Agnes Linwood was disgusted by the very idea of marrying Balkendor, and after meeting Suzanne at a social event, they encountered the Farge phenomenon. This is a phenomenon in which girls who were sisters in the sacred world, upon entering new shells, for some reason exchange bodies with each other. Then, escaped from Balkandor, Agnes lived pretending to be Susanna. But for some unknown reason, Agnes returned to her body again. And due to the loss of reason, what happened became known to others, because the girl claimed that she wanted to become Suzanne again. Even more terrifying was the fact that Balkendorfer learned the truth 3 years after the wedding, and everything became clear when he already had a child. The blonde claims that they will have problems if this happens, and his servant screams that they should under no circumstances allow them to see each other. But at that very moment, the horses jump up, and the servant falls down. He asks what is going on, and why did the carriage stop? But His Highness tells him to be quiet because it smells of red liquid there. The man also gets out of the carriage, but the servant claims that it is dangerous, after which the blonde man stands on the floor and realizes that something is sucking him in. The servant asks what happened, but His Highness suggests that he sit inside if he values his life, after which he slams the door shut. At that very moment, the boy hears someone address him and ask if his older brother always acts alone when he plans to have a secret conversation with someone. And he doesn't have a weapon, so the guy asks what to do if he's attacked like now. The blonde man claims that he is a weapon, but his brother says that if he acts arrogantly, he could get into trouble. Rakik tells his brother they haven't seen each other in a while and asks how he's been chewing. The boy replies that everything was fine until his older brother set him up, and it was his fault he went hungry for 3 days. And he's his younger brother after all. His brother set up an ambush to prevent him from meeting his future daughter-in-law, so he's upset. And he shouldn't have done something that would upset him. The blonde asks if he really had the nerve to send his mercenaries to the future crown princess. But he replies that it was a misunderstanding, and he didn't know anything, after which the blonde asks if he wants to say that the head of Queasy was actually completely in the dark. The blonde also looks at the coachman and asks if the guy really put him into eternal sleep. But he replies that he is a specialist in his field and does nothing without payment, after which the blonde tells the guy to lick it before he sends him to the next world. But the young man replies that he does not want to, and at that very moment, an arrow flies past His Highness, after which the man turns to his brother and asks how he can take revenge so filthily as a rat, and how he even conspired with the barbarians. But he replies that he did not conspire with them, but simply took advantage of them. The man asks what he is talking about, but at that moment he does not see his brother. The barbarians immediately cry out, asking where Vacane is. The man recalls someone saying that the barbarian he locked in the dungeon still hadn't eaten anything, and what would happen if he fell into eternal sleep. The man also asked what his name was, to which the archbishop replied that he thought his name was Vacane. Now His Highness understands that this is how his brother managed to bring this trash with him, and wonders if they were really looking for their comrade. But savages are stupid people. When they see His Highness's power, they cry out that he's a demon. But the guy only strikes them with his lightning. The main character is near the tower at this time, and then they see a light there. His Highness, meanwhile, is examining the area around the tower, after which they see a piece of clothing in the bushes. The servant turns to His Highness and claims that they have thoroughly searched the entire area up to the lake, but no traces of an outsider were found. But then the man asks, "What about Legria?" And the servant wonder if he is talking about Her Highness. After this, the man smells something and tells the servants to follow him, to which they agree. The boy, meanwhile, is holding the young lady's dress in his hands and cursing. A short time later, he heads to the estate and cries out to Legria. He also turns to the servants and shouts where the lady has gone, to which one of them claims that Her Highness is currently bathing. At that very moment, the guy suddenly opens the bathroom door and screams the young lady's name. At this time, the servant closes his eyes, and the maid asks His Highness what happened. The main character asks when he arrived, and the guy replies that it's too early for water procedures. Her Highness showed signs of fatigue this morning. Her whole body was burning, and her hands and feet were icy cold. The protagonist continues saying, that's why she asked the maid to prepare a very warm bath for her. The guy then asks where her clothes are, to which the lady replies that they are in the wash, and His Highness asks if Legria went outside today. The maid then replies that no, she didn't go out, and Legria asks Rakik what the matter is. But the guy tells her to get out, after which the girl asks what he's talking about, And he repeats again that the lady should get out of the bathroom because he needs to personally verify something. The maid immediately speaks to His Highness and says that the princess will become even more ill if she leaves the water like this. But the man says that he doesn't care, and let the girl get out immediately, to which she screams that she is naked now. However, the guy insists he said he didn't care. Legria asks if he doesn't care that she'll have to appear naked in front of a man she barely knows. And she screams how he can do this to her. And that means, what is the value of the place of crown princess of their empire? At this time, the maid turns to Her Highness and says that if she does this, it will be bad. So let her calm down. The main character only claims that she doesn't know what happened, but she won't forgive this guy. And if he respects her as the future crown princess, then let him wait in the room, because she will quickly tidy herself up and come out. After this, the guy looks at the girl for the last time and then leaves altogether. He also tells the lady not to keep him waiting for long. The maid immediately turns to Her Highness and asks what is going on there. And the girl gets out of the bath and realizes that things couldn't be worse, because that's what it feels like to meet a monster hiding under the guise of a man. She is unbearably afraid. And the lady is afraid to think at whom Rakik's cruelty and his penchant for violence will be directed. If the war ends and there is no one left to capture, then he will have no way to make up for his anger. But at the same moment, the maid turns to Her Highness and hugs her, and also says that the temperature must not drop. So let her get back into the water. The main character realizes at this point that she survived thanks to Celine, and if she hadn't filled the bathtub with water, Rakik would have found out everything. The maid kept saying it was raining and the lady was snowing. Her, anyway. Well, the maid asks why the lady was hiding, and she was so scared that she also became afraid. The main character at this time apologizes, but claims that she cannot answer this question in any way. The maid asks why, and the lady replies that she doesn't want to put her in danger as well, and that's why she can't tell. At this point, the maid takes the lady by the hand and says that she understands, but in return asks the lady to remember one thing. After all, she will always be on her side, and just as Her Highness saved her, she will do the same, even if it costs her life. A short time later, the protagonist is about to enter the room where His Highness is sitting. The girl thinks that she needs to be calm and pretend, until the very end, that she doesn't know anything. No one saw her leave, so they shouldn't catch her. The girl also enters the room and asks if there's anyone there. She also asks where Rakik is, but the guy who is near the door turns to the lady, after which he moves closer to her and kisses her. The main character pushes him away and tells him to stop. And she also asks why he's doing this. The guy is talking about raindrops, and he claims that since the lady was planning to deceive him, he should have gotten rid of the rain stains that had soaked her lips. Legria asks what kind of nonsense he's talking about. But at that very moment, the guy grabs her by the neck and asks if she really decided to lie to him, and how dare she. He also tells the girl to stop deceiving him and to admit where she was all evening. The guy also asks why she is silent and invites her to move her lovely tongue, as she usually does. The main character understands that now, the hand that burned a man alive is on her throat, and she is too scared, so she cannot utter a word. At that moment, Beatrice turns to her and says what a poor girl she is. And he also wonders why she is so afraid, since she has something to attack with in response. The main character asks what she is talking about, and her interlocutor replies that she is so tired of it, and of course she can do it through mental communication. Let the lady calm Rakik down and be done with it, because she might just unravel the knot inside him. The main character thinks that there really is a mental connection, after which her interlocutor asks if she is the best. At this time, the blonde asks what the lady is doing, and she replies that she decided to follow his words and use her beautiful tongue. The same thing happened with the Holy Spring, so the lady asks why all the truth is in this country. It must be hidden at the very bottom. The guy then asks if she really wants to do this. And then he falls completely. He also tells the lady not to use the mental connection, and also let her stop. Then the guy screams that he said to stop and use his power. He immediately lets go of the girl, and she starts coughing and says that it hurts. Rakik says that it seems the girl didn't understand something, because until he allows it, no one can get inside. But at this time, the lady begins to lose consciousness and then falls to the floor. A little while later, the girl wakes up and hears someone laughing and claiming that the expression on his face was worth it. Beatrice claims it's the best thing she's seen in a long time. The main character wonders what happened and she wasn't able to establish a mental connection. The owner of the body claims that, in any case, he moved away, although he clung to her like an animal, and continued to squeeze her neck. After which, she also hits the lady on the nose and says that being in a place where she did not want to be, she has to suffer so much, and she never asked to be brought to this country. And all she received was pain and suffering, after which the girl replies that she wants to go back to her world. Beatrice says that unfortunately, she doesn't even know the way to the sacred world, and after her departure, she still won't be able to find herself in her body again. The main character then says that she can search thoroughly, but Beatrice says that she will soon leave the girl. Legria asks what she means, and the lady replies that this is the last day left at their disposal, but it is hard for the soul to have to leave it one, but she has to leave. The main character asks why so suddenly, and the lady replies that she said that initially they weren't supposed to meet like this in their minds. Well then, Legria asks how she is, after which the lady turns to her, and she claims that she must continue to live with incredible tenacity. She also asks if the girl remembers that she promised to reveal the disgusting truth about this measure, to which the lady replies that yes, and Beatrice said that she would tell if she wanted to know about everything. The woman then says that she thinks that if she were the lady, she would want this, after which the main character asks the leader to tell her. And she smiles and says, "That's excellent. She'll only say this once, so Legria should listen carefully. In fact, all saints fall into eternal sleep for 10 years. After the birth of her first child, the main character asks if this is really true, and the lady replies that it is, and that's why she keeps this information secret from the saints, because if they learned of it, they might organize a rebellion or resist not wanting to have children. The protagonist asks how this is possible, and whether the girl really told her to become crown princess. Knowing all this, Beatrice replies that she told her to become crown princess, but not to give birth. And besides, they promised each other that the lady would only assume the role of crown princess until she found a way to escape. This promise is also only valid until today, and if she asks why the answer is simple, it's because she's ready. So she asks the lady to get away from Rakik as quickly as possible. Afterward, he'll hide and live a free life, and he'll also exploit her bad reputation to gain everyone's sympathy and respect. Let no one disturb her, and if something really happens to her, then let the smile become her ball and tears a sharp spear. When she finds those who can help her, let her not trust them, although it would be better not to trust anyone at all. After which, Beatrice hugs the lady and says that, finally, let the lady definitely love someone, because this will give her the strength to fight. Well, the girl then says that she herself told her not to trust anyone, after which the lady with red hair tells her to love, but not trust him, because when the time comes, she will understand everything, and Legria is a smart girl. The main character turns to Beatrice, but she replies that time has come to an end. She also says that Legria Rommel will live and will certainly survive. 2 weeks later, His Highness is sitting in his office. At this time, someone turns to him and asks if he is worried, and also does not want to at least send her flowers if it worries him so much, as a get-well wish. Or how about checking on Lady Legria's well-being? Well, His Highness says that the guy shouldn't make him laugh, because who said that it bothers him? The brunette then says that His Highness should equally pay more attention to his health. During all the time he followed his grueling schedule, due to the anxiety caused by the lady's unconscious state, he did not even manage to sleep properly. But the man replies that his body itself is not accustomed to deep sleep. He also claims that 2 weeks have already passed, and asks if Legria has still not come to her senses. To which he replies that yes, and the mistress is still unconscious. The servant also says that it may be that this topic is unpleasant for him, but he asks to be allowed to ask a question, after which he asks if His Majesty is sure that it was Legria who entered the tower that day. The man replies that he is not sure and simply suspects her well. Then the servant asks, what if she was suddenly there and saw with her own eyes what happened, and also what he plans to do? After this, the man remains silent, but at that very moment, someone bursts into the office and shouts that he has urgent news, after which this guy reports that Her Highness the Crown Princess has regained consciousness, but her condition is not very good. The girl at this time claims that she does not remember, and the doctor asks up to what point the lady can remember, and she has bruises on her neck. So he asks the lady if she remembers where and how she got hurt, but she apologizes and says that she doesn't remember that either. At this time, His Highness enters the room, and the medicine of the sanctuary diagnoses the lady with partial memory loss. If His Highness is interested in his humble opinion, people who suffer from a high fever for a long time can experience memory lapses. According to the maid, she was suffering from a fever the day Her Highness lost consciousness. At this time, the blonde asks the servant what he thinks about him, and he replies that there is a possibility that she really has partially lost her memories. However, this could all be just a performance. The blonde orders everyone to leave, and they do so. And the main character turns to Rakik and claims that she does not understand what the doctors are talking about, and that she was allegedly unconscious for 2 weeks, so the lady asks if something is wrong with her. The guy claims that the doctor says that she has partially lost her memory and is interested in what she can remember from the last time before losing consciousness. Legria claims she's unsure and thinks she was taking a bath. But at that moment, the guy puts his hand on her neck and addresses the lady. Rakik understands that when a person lies, his heart rate increases and blood flow increases. He avoids eye contact or touches his nose and lips, and when he looks at the girl, he realizes that she's acting normal and her heart is beating steadily. Legria asks what he's doing, after which he turns to him again, and the guy replies that he is checking his pulse, but thinks that fortunately everything is fine. After which he removes his hand, and the main character takes it and asks if the guy is okay. His Highness asks what she means, and the lady replies that it is his face. It's too thin, like someone who's just escaped the afterlife. Rakik replies that he's fine and just a little sleep-deprived. The girl asks if this is all because of her, and that he should take care of himself. After which the lady confronts him and claims it is his main weapon. Legria also asks if he wants her to partially remove the negative energy using an oil bond. After all, he looks very tired. Well, the guy claims that she is playing with him, after which the girl suggests that he not be naughty. After all, it seems he had a lot of work to do in her absence, and she will help him relax. The lady also asks if he doesn't want it, after which the guy immediately approaches her. And also he lies down on the lady's feet and agrees, and also claims that he will stay with her since she wants it so much. The girl realizes that she is grateful for the time spent with Beatrice, and that thanks to her being there, she was able to fool this devil. Therefore, she thanks Beatrice very much, and thinks that she will definitely survive, as she wished for. Her smile will be her sword, and tears are like a sharp spear. The girl also understands that in her final year of high school, she saw a sign in one of the classrooms that read, "Some acquaintances can radically change a person's life." At that time, it seemed terribly implausible to her, and the lady wondered if such a thing was really possible. Now she is drinking tea and looking at His Highness, who is getting out of bed. And he also understands that she thinks their meeting with Beatrice was that very acquaintance. The lady turns to Rahik and asks if he's awake. She also asks if he'll have some tea, as it's still hot. The lady also understands that now, for the sake of another acquaintance and her chances of escape, she is going to go to a freer place on her own. A little while later, the girl is already sitting at the table with His Highness, and he claims that he hasn't slept so soundly for a long time, after which the lady turns to Rakik, and she claims that she has a request, after which the guy asks what it is, and the lady replies that she wants to go outside. The blonde claims that until her condition improves, walks in the fresh air can be dangerous to her health, to which she replies that she did not mean a walk. But she wants to get out of the palace walls and fight in other places of the empire, and not just the sanctuary because she is suffocating there. But the guy suggests that she not talk nonsense. After all, if it's so boring, then let her walk along the corridor, because she is forbidden to leave this place. Legria says that since she can't go out, there's nothing she can do, and he'll lose his bet. The lady also asks if he has forgotten what they agreed on, and that he himself promised to make her beg for the position of crown princess in just 100 days. But in this scenario, most likely she will not want to beg him for anything at all, much less for the title of crown princess. The blonde asks if the lady really wants to leave there so much, and if she really has no desire to stay as a crown princess. Legria replies that she never said she wanted to run away, and the guy asks why. Then it was necessary to drag their agreement into it. The girl answers about a date which surprises the guy, and the girl replies that this is their second date. And this time, she wants to learn more about him, while they are walking in a new place for them. She says that's why the guy is silent for a bit. And the lady asks him to stop just looking at her and answer whether they'll go or not. The blonde then sighs and says how much trouble she is, and then he agrees, and also asks what she thinks about visiting the opera house in a week. The guy understands that in the morning, Joshua gave him an invitation, and Schumann is organizing a solo concert and definitely wants to see her there. So it seems the game has truly taken hold of him, and the guy asks the lady to stop smiling and answer his question. Goes or not? The girl smiles, and a week later they find themselves in the theater. People there are whispering that this is amazing and asking if this is really His Highness the Crown Prince, and next to him is a mad dog from the summer hedge. Then someone else tells them to be quiet and watch their language, because she will become the Crown Princess. The girl understands that contrary to expectations, many people recognized her. She should be more careful during secret forays. At that moment, the two enter the opera house, and someone claims that the flowers were prepared as a wish for a speedy recovery. His Highness says that this is still payment for the fact that the lady helped him fall asleep. The main character is surprised by this, but the guy just suggests that she stop daydreaming and go sit down, to which she agrees. Well, at that very moment, someone asks, "What kind of things happen in this world?" This guy also says what a coincidence this is. After all, he didn't expect to meet his brother in such a place. The main character wonders if this could be Rakik's half-brother, and His Highness names the guy's full name and then asks what he's doing there. The young man wonders what he is talking about, since he is the sponsor of this theater, and it would be strange if the sponsor visited the establishments in which he invests money. The blonde guy asks if someone who knows nothing about music is sponsoring a theater, and his interlocutor asks in response if sponsorship is really prohibited by law if you don't understand the subject. The guy also bows to his daughter-in-law and says that he is glad to meet her, after which he is introduced. The guy also claims that His Highness is his half-elder brother. The main character says that she is fine, and also introduces herself, after which the brunette approaches her and says that he is pleased to meet her. He also whispers to his sister that he missed her and asks if she went to the tower he told her about. The blonde man glares at the two of them. A short while later, they're already listening to the performance. Someone whispers that it is surprising that they met in such a place and apologizes for interrupting their performance. But the blonde tells him to stop wagging his tongue. You can hear that he doesn't repent at all. Ewa asks if his brother's face is really that bad, and he's even scared by it. The blonde also asks Legria if she now understands why members of the imperial family like them sit in a specially designated box. After all, this is to avoid getting mixed up with all sorts of idiots. The brunette at this point only addresses his sister. He says she looks tired, then asks if she's feeling unwell. She asks if he's just imagining things and insists everything is fine. Afterwards, the young man said he was worried about her and had heard that the lady had been unconscious for about 2 weeks and had never recovered. Apparently, the future crown princess was being treated simply appallingly. Well, the blonde gets angry about this and says that it's none of his business, and then his brother suggests that he behave normally. To avoid being noticed, he asks if he's ashamed of himself as a holy knight. The blonde insists that the guy must have a lot of beef with him. The young man asks if he really thinks it's too obvious, and His Highness suggests that they go out and talk later, to which the other guy agrees. The main character then extends her hands and suggests that they stop. She also begs them to be a little quieter, as she can't even hear Schumann playing Eva, insists that her older brother started it. However, the girl asks what kind of childish behavior this is. They're not teenagers, and what difference does it make who started it? The girl also turns to the blonde man and says that he does too. Well, the guy asks what's wrong, after which the lady claims that he's the crown prince, and that's how he behaves in public places. Klimova. This also applies, so he should stop. The guy just turns around and clicks his tongue, and the lady thinks that both the older and younger can live without making fun of each other. Well, then she thinks she doesn't care about the game or anything else, because she just wants to go to bed and get a good night's sleep because she's already so tired. But at that same moment, the girl feels someone take her hand, and when she turns around, she sees that it is a guy with black hair. She also wonders if he is in his right mind since Rakik is sitting next to him, and what to do if she enters into a mental connection with him. Well, when the girl looks at him, she thinks that this is incredible and that he really did it on purpose. The lady also tries to break free from his hand, and in her thoughts forgives him for letting go of her hand, because if she enters into a relationship, there it will be a real immersion into eternal sleep. Well, at that very moment, the girl finds herself in some forest and realizes that she did end up there after all. The lady looks at the snakes in the bushes and thinks that this is what the world of Awa looks like. It seems that it is very dangerous there. After which, the lady sees the crocodile and gets scared. She wonders if he is really the part that needs cleansing. He also understands that in these jungles, a crocodile means imminent death. However, as surprising as it may be, it can coexist with small birds. The main character pets a crocodile and realizes that immersion in eternal sleep is capable of peacefully coexisting with another creature. And the girl also thinks whether this guy can become that acquaintance, which could completely change her life. A little while later, the girl lets go of his hand, and the boy thinks about the tower, after which he finally realizes she went to the tower. This girl is so bold and smart, and he knew it. The boy was also certain that the memory loss rumors were a lie. At this point, the man finishes his concert, and applause erupts in the audience. The blonde man claims that he thinks the performance was excellent and asks if the lady liked it. The girl replies that it is very much so, and she feels as if she has been in a jungle with densely growing trees. After which, the lady also turns to Sinuel and asks how he liked the performance and whether he still thinks she is worthy of his sponsorship. The guy replies that it's difficult to even describe it in words because the experience is truly impressive, and if it were possible, he would then wish to provide support until the end of his days. The main character, then with a smile on her face, asks if this is what they say, what happiness is. The blonde man watching these two feels irritated, and then tells his brother to get lost. He hugs the lady and states that the performance is over, so he should stop pestering his woman and get out. The brunette asks why his brother is so angry, and if someone looks from the outside, and it might seem like he is having an affair with his older brother's future wife. His Highness is very angry about this, and then goes on to say that it looks like the guy really wants to fall into eternal sleep. Brunette of the Year says that her brother's seriously upset, after which he says that it's good, and let him try if he wants, because he also prepared something. The main character wonders if he is really going to take out a weapon, and also screams that there is no need to fight no matter what. Well, at that very moment, the guy hands over an invitation and asks what the matter is. He also wonders if they thought he should have gotten the sword. And every winter, the Mosgrado family holds a masquerade ball. It doesn't matter whether his brother comes or not, but he hopes that his daughter-in-law will certainly honor them with her presence. His Highness is getting more and more angry with each passing moment, and his brother is still asking if this is true, after which he shows his middle finger to his brother and asks if he knows anything about it. The main character is shocked after this, and the brunette claims that they say that in the sacred world, this sign is used to express love, so he claims that he loves his brother, after which he leaves completely, and His Highness says, what a shameless bastard this guy is. The main character just stares at the invitation silently. She understands that if someone received an invitation from the Mosgrado house, they must attend. The main character asks if this is true, and if there is some kind of law, to which the blonde replies that this is not the case, and that it is a kind of unspoken rule. The young master of this clan, Sinuel, possesses exceptional abilities. He even managed to unite shadowy organizations and create a lasting alliance. Once a year, they gather together and hold a meeting. This day is called the Mosgrado Family Masquerade Ball. He also asks, by the way, how much longer will she continue to talk about this idiot? And she herself said she wanted to take a walk around the area before returning. The girl replies that this is true, and as a future princess, she knows how to learn about the lives of the people of the empire. Then the guy suggests that she stop looking at this piece of paper and look outside. The main character then does so, and the blonde man claims that he fulfilled her request as an apology for the unpleasant incident that occurred because of Sinels. And today, he'll do everything she wants, but there won't be another time. The girl thinks it's a warning and a threat, because this guy doesn't know any other way. The girl understands that everything in his life could have been achieved through intimidation and interrogation alone, so she will not achieve anything by ruining this man's mood. And first you have to give him what he wants. Then the two move on. When they pass by, one of them gets scared. The girl next to him asks what's wrong with him, and he scared her. But the boy only cries out, "Is this really His Highness the Crown Prince?" People are surprised and ask where he is. One of them says he's right in front of a bakery stand. The girl is looking at the goodies. Then she asks for one cake and more cream. The man then agrees and repeats the order with cakes and cream. The blonde man claims that the woman who will become crown princess eats street food and it's beyond comprehension. But the girl tells him not to talk nonsense and asks what's wrong with the food here. The guy replies that it's not nonsense, and that he meant that being a dog like that, she shouldn't eat anything that could be harmful to her health. The girl replies that it's pure nonsense, and that in general, happiness after a tasty meal is what healthy eating is all about. She also turns to the coder and asks if she is right, to which he replies that of course, and this is absolutely correct. But at that very moment, His Highness clicks his tongue, and a little while later, the pastry chef hands over a cake. The girl eats it and says it's the perfect flavor, that it's sweet and delicious. The guy asks if she's so sure, and she agrees and asks if he'll try it. She also tells him to say, but the guy only wonders if she's gone crazy because of the cake being too sweet. After all, he doesn't want him. But the main character tells the guy not to be naughty, after which she even suggests that he open his mouth, otherwise everything will fall. But the guy replies that he doesn't want to and tells her to stop. But at that very moment, someone from the crowd picks up a tube and tries to throw a needle with something into the lady. His Highness notices this and immediately turns in that direction. He grabs the needle with his hand, but it pierces his skin. The main character asks what happened, after which the guy replies that this is a mercenary guild. Well then, the guy looks at his hand and says he swears because he sees that it is starting to turn black. The main character immediately drops her cake and then turns to the guy and says that his hand is not feeling well. At the same moment, the guy who shoots darts launches a few more. The blonde immediately tells the lady to lie down, after which they do so, and all the darts fly into the pastry chef. At this time, some knights ask who this scumbag is, and also shout at him to stop his antics and drop this thing. But at that very moment, they notice how this guy starts to run away, after which they tell him to catch him. At this time, His Highness turns to Legria and asks if she is safe. At that moment, one of the knights cries out to His Highness, asking how he got there without injuring Sally. The man replies that some idiots are planning to put the future crown princess into eternal sleep. Therefore, let them search every corner of the area. This guy was not alone, so let them take someone to help, after which the servant replies that he obeys. But at that very moment, the main character hears some sound, and when she turns around, he sees that the pastry chef from the shop has fallen. A little while later, someone tells His Highness that Artum sent them. They are definitely against the appointment of a new crown princess, and since this has happened, it is worth getting rid of all the spies. The blonde claims that they tried but to no avail, because it was far from a couple of people. Some had put down roots in the country more than 10 years ago, and had now become members of the highest aristocracy. An ordinary worker, a tavern owner, or even a street sweeper, any of them could be spies sent from Erythrum. At this time, the doctor turns to His Highness and states that it will now be very painful. But he tells him to wait, after which he orders Joshua to take the future crown princess out of the chambers while he receives treatment. The guy agrees in response, and then invites the lady to go. The girl then leaves. And at the last moment, he looks at His Highness, after which he tells the doctor to begin. The doctor says he'll begin then. The man pours some kind of mixture onto His Highness's hand, after which he screams in excruciating pain. The doctor cries out that it's just a little bit longer and asks His Highness to be patient a little longer. At this time, the servant turns to Lady Legrier and tells her not to worry. After all, His Highness is strong and he can handle it. A short time later, the doctor emerges from the prince's room. The servant asks how things are going, after which he replies that fortunately, thanks to the prepared antidote, the treatment was successful. The servant asks if this is true, then says the doctor has done a good job. The man claims that His Highness is inviting the future crown princess to his home. The main character then comes in and sees a guy. He approaches her and the ladies ask if he's okay. Rakik replies that holy knights are not so easily taken by poison. However, for her to know, this is not a particularly pleasant experience. The main character then says that he could have fallen into eternal sleep, but the blonde replies that she could have done that since he wasn't their target. The girl then asks if he really knew this and calmly let her wander the streets. To which he replies that yes, and the lady asks why Rakik replies that he was nearby. And then the lady says that he knew that something like this would happen and still decided to do it, after which she asks why. And why was it necessary to save her, and also make her feel obligated. The lady also screams that she will not thank him for protecting her and will never thank him for anything. The guy replies that it is her business and suggests that the lady not ask stupid questions. After all, now she is the most important person for him, so if something like this happens again, then he will save you too, her. At this time, at the Rommel family's garden, a lady with pink hair is sitting near the gate and crying. At this time, someone comes up to her and asks why she is sitting alone in such a place and crying. When the girl sees this guy, she is immediately surprised and says that this is Sinaloa. The guy asks the sweet lady how her life is. The lady almost starts crying again, and also asks why he suddenly showed up, to which he replies that he missed her. He then hands the lady an invitation and says it's a gift. The lady asks what it is, and the young man replies that it's an invitation to a masquerade ball. The lady asks if this is really the case, and the guy asks in response what the matter is and if she really doesn't want to go. The girl replies that no, and she wants to, but the Duchess won't let her go until the etiquette classes are over. The young man tells her not to worry, because if she shows the invitation, the Duchess will certainly allow her to go. The lady with pink hair asks if this is true, and then hugs him. And she also says that it's wonderful, and she thought she would go crazy because she so wanted to get out of the estate. The guy then says that he is glad that the lady is happy and strokes her head. He also claims he's very happy about it. The main character is with His Highness for a while, and he insists that the girl is the most important person to him. Legria understands that he can't delude himself. After all, Rakik didn't save her out of love. He only wants a child from her, and nothing more. Well, at that very moment, the guy pulls the lady by the hand, and she asks her heart not to react like that. The guy at this time claims that he received a lightning discharge, and this is the same blessing as the first Emperor Bellegram. From early childhood, he was taught not to leave things dear to him nearby in the name of destroying the union of steppe states that was standing in their way and defeating Eratum, their ancient enemy. And after that, he never once deviated from the image of the crown prince that everyone wanted to see him as. However, now he seems to be starting to change, and he wants to keep the lady close to him all the time. He craves it so much that he wanted to believe the ridiculous lie about losing only hateful memories. The girl immediately pulls her hand away and runs away from him, and the guy says that there is no need to be afraid of him. Let her not leave his embrace as she does now, and obediently remain close to them. There were no problems. The main character clears her throat at this point and realizes she thought she could leave. At this point, the maid turns to the lady and asks if she's okay. The girl realizes she was hoping to get out of there. She might be able to live in some small village, but at the same time the lady feels sick of all this. The maid in shock turns to Her Highness, and she understands that not only is it unbearably difficult to avoid leaving the position of crown princess, so now she also has to worry about her life, after which the girl claims that she is fine. But he thinks that there is growing danger and constant losses, as well as a limited lifespan. All this is only because she is a saint, and the girl thinks whether she will be able to survive after leaving this place. And besides, why does her heart beat so much when she sees Rakik? And is it really the too frequent mental connection that is to blame? The girl thinks that the reason definitely lies in her. Otherwise, why would her heart react this way? Legria thinks it's so stupid, and now she too belongs to this world. Rakik remains her savior, regardless of his motives. And besides, this is already the second time this has happened. The lady also will not deny that the emergence of feelings for the man who saved you is completely natural, and it is better to simply cut all ties. If the relationship is destined to be photographed again, how long will it take for them to get rid of this tangle? That would be the best solution, and she would return to where she came from. A short time later, His Highness heads off somewhere, and the lady watches him from the window. At this time, the maid turns to Her Highness and says that she got up early, after which she asks how she is feeling, and replies that she has become much better. The girl also turns to Celine and asks if she will deliver this letter to Lord Fedor, to which Celine agrees and inquires if the lady requires anything else. Legria replies, no, and that's all. A little while later, Fedor comes to the main character and greets her. The main character tells him to pass by and sit closer, but he replies that there is no need, after which he claims that he will get straight to the point and throws away the letter. He asks if everything written there is true, after which he asks if it is Beatrice. She really did leave this body. The main character replies that yes, and that's true. After all, she's no longer in this body. The main character turns to Fyodor and asks if he's okay. But he only asks why the lady sent him a letter and replies that she needs his help and asks for help escaping. The guy then asks what she's talking about, lady, and replies that Beatrice told her about saints like her. They enter into an eternal sleep for 10 years after the birth of the child, and if she becomes the crown princess, or if she just stays next to Rakik, then everything will be over for her, because she will die as soon as she gives birth to his child. Fyodor says there's nothing to be done, and that's the crown princess's fate. The main character then turns to the boy and says she knows he wants to help her. She also understands that when they entered into a mental connection, she was able to sense his feelings for her. And more precisely, his feelings for Beatrice were definitely love. The guy then sighs heavily, asks for forgiveness, and asks to be allowed to sit down for a while. He also asks what else Beatrice told the girl, too, which she replies that she told her to get away from Rakik as quickly as possible. She hid and lived a free life, and the girl also suggested using her bad reputation to gain sympathy and respect from everyone. Fyodor says that this is very much in her spirit, and the lady asserts that she wishes to return to where she lived before. The guy asks if she thinks she'll go back to the illuminated world, to which she replies yes, after which he claims that since there is a way to summon her there, then there is also a possibility of returning. The guy claims that, frankly speaking, when he found out that Betty continued to live in the body of a summer, he began to look for a way to bring her back. And if you believe the ancient manuscripts, then somewhere on the outskirts of Belagram, there is a cave leading to the sacred world. The main character asks if this is true, after which the guy says that, however, this is just a legend, and it is unknown how reliable it is. The main character asks if he could take her there, to which the guy replies that it is feasible. However, he believes it wouldn't hurt for the lady to meet an angel. Before implementing her new life plan, the main character asks him what he's talking about. The guy claims that people who have learned the truth of this world and refuse to have children are called angels. They are allowed not to bear children and live peacefully, and in exchange, they meet with many holy knights and stabilize their energy. The main character then says that this is how it is, but asks how she should meet her, to which the guy replies that perhaps she knows about the cave, and they can get useful information from this meeting. It wouldn't be superfluous. Legria says that it's okay, and she will talk to her, after which she asks how she can meet, and the guy replies that, as far as he knows, this lady will be present at the masquerade ball this week, and it would be better to meet her there since everyone will be wearing masks, and it will be easy to hide their status. After which, Fyodor gets ready to leave and invites her to meet him at the ball. But when he approaches the door, the main character hugs him and also says that Beatrice missed him until the very end, after which she even thanks Fedor. A little while later, the guy returns. The red-haired youth insists that this bothers him, and that the legend of that cave is absolutely absurd. So why did he do it? He knows, after all, that no saint who has entered their world has ever returned. The guy claims that he is unable to stop Betty from falling into eternal sleep. But the guy claims that he said that her consciousness disappeared, but he claims that the body is still there, and he cannot lose it too. The red-haired boy claims that he understands his feelings, but that was his sister's choice, to which he replies that the guy is right, and that is why he made his choice, and also decided to send Legria back to her world. A little while later, the day of the masquerade ball arrives at the Mosgrato estate. The main character comes to him with His Highness, after which she whispers that, if you think about it, it's extremely funny there. Rakik asks what she is talking about, and the lady replies that she is talking about them, and asks what is the benefit of masks. After all, they seem to be constantly wearing them. At this point, one of the servants greets them and thanks the guests for honoring them with their presence. His Highness, meanwhile, seats the protagonist at the table and tells her to remain there. The protagonist asks what about him, and the guy replies that the crown prince is obliged to dance with the ladies even at such a reception. At this time, one of the servants tells His Highness that he should be wearing a mask, and the guy replies that everyone already understood that he is the crown prince, after which he asks what the meaning of this mask is. The main character realizes that this guy is putting people in an awkward position, and if she gives birth to a child and also falls into eternal sleep, then the lady thinks about which of them will become the new crown princess, and they'll need a girl to raise the baby. The main character just tisks after that. Well, then someone turns to her and claims that although these are the duties of the crown prince, this is too much. It turns out to be Fedor. The guy then turns to Legria and then approaches her. Then he talks about the terrace and the angel in 2 hours. Meanwhile, the lady dancing with the prince on the screen says how wonderful it is. And she was, as if in a dream. So who would have thought that she would personally touch His Highness and feel his aroma? And in fact, she has been experiencing tender feelings for him for a long time. But the guy at this time is looking at the main character who is leaving with the Lord. The girl who is with His Highness asks him to forgive her for her insolence, but asks if he will spend the night with her. However, at that very moment, the guy dumps the girl and then tells her not to bother him. The smell will remain. Fedor turns to the lady at this point and tells her to go out through those doors because an angel will be there. The main character says that it is so exciting, and she has a lot of questions, but the guy tells her to remember about 10 minutes. And if she can't finish the conversation within that time, the bodyguards will discover her. The main character says she understands, but asks about him. The guy replies that his presence nearby will only attract attention. After this, the girl goes out onto the balcony and thinks what kind of person she is and if only she were Korean too. After which, the lady looks at this girl and thinks whether she really is the saint with whom Fyodor got involved. The main character thinks about how to say hello, because she might be a foreigner, so first she will try in English. Well, after that, the girl starts swearing and saying that they are damn empty talkers, that all these noblemen are completely empty inside, and they don't represent themselves at all, because no one observes their dandyism and bravado. But she just can't get used to it. The main character asks if the lady really speaks Korean, and she replies that it's natural because she is also Korean and has heard about her. They say that she has a lot of questions for her too, which the main character answers yes. And the lady claims that then before they start, could she lock the door, and the lady agrees. She understands that she certainly had certain hopes, but she didn't think that she would actually hear Korean speech in such a place. This girl has incredible charisma, and she is interested in what she did before she got there. The main character claims she closed the door, and her interlocutor replies that she's great, and they don't have time, so they can get straight to the point. Looking at her, he asks what the girl wants to know, and she asks her name, to which the woman replies that it's Cece. But Legria replies that she meant another name, and the lady with gray hair asks if it is really from the sacred world, because if so, she has already forgotten, after which she suggests asking the next question. Legria says that maybe she remembers what she did in Korea, and she replies that she remembers and did taekwondo. She was also a national-level athlete. The main character asks about her family, after which the lady replies that she was married with a child. She also tells the future crown princess to stop asking her about useless things and to find out what she really wants to know. The main character then says that the Lord told her that there is a cave through which one can return to the illuminated world, and she asks if this is true. The girl replies that yes, and this cave is from some legend, so it's clear that it exists. Legria asks if she has been there herself, and she replies that she has been there, but she was unable to return, and that she no longer knows about it. Legria asks if it turns out that there is no possibility of returning, and the lady replies that if she wants to hear a definitive answer, then she does not know she did not succeed. But judging by the stories about the returning saints, the legends may well be true. Cece also asks why the girl wants to leave this world, because she is not even a commoner, like Hay, but a crown princess and can do whatever she wants. Legria says she wants to go back, because she'll become crown princess. Cece says that's true, because every single holy knight is an asshole. Lord Saberake is really not bad, but she has never met an adequate holy knight, because everyone has some kind of problems. The main character is interested in where the cave is located, and the girl asks if she will go, because they cannot be sure, and perhaps she could, but she still thinks it's best for a lady not to go there, among the girls with whom they found the cave. There were also those who realized that there was no way back and went crazy. Therefore, no matter how much she regretted it. But at that very moment, these ladies hear someone knocking, and one of them says that it's time for them to leave. Legria claims that she will also go crazy if she stays there, and just let the lady tell her where this cave is. Cece says that the girl is more persistent than she seems, and asks if she knows anything about the Mosgardo family. After all, if she wants to find the cave, she needs to get close to one of them. The protagonist asks why, and the lady replies that the cave is located in the Rusin district, which is the land of the Archduchy of Mosgrato. At this time, someone turns to Her Highness and tells her to open the door because he knows that she is there, after which the girl asks to wait a minute because she will come out now. The main character also addresses the lady who should be behind her, but at that very moment, she sees that there's no one left there. The girl also looks down and then sees a rope. He also says that this is incredible and that such people do exist. At that moment, the knights turn to Her Highness and tell her to open the door quickly as otherwise they will. But the main character at that very moment comes out of the balcony and asks what they will do. Legria claims that she felt dizzy and that she just went out to get some fresh air. So the lady asks what all the noise was about. One of them claims that His Highness was looking for her. The girl asks if such a fuss is really over such a trifle. She also thinks that thank God because she thought she was caught. But by the way, the girl does not understand what she should do now because Mosgrado is Sinuel's family. And the girl thinks whether she should meet him again and also what to do next. But at that very moment, someone bumps into the young lady and the girl asks what she is doing. And also let him apologize immediately because the lady stood there, she hurt her shoulder. The main character wonders if this is really her sister, and the lady with pink hair asks why she stayed in the void and whether she really decided to ignore her. Well, since she is not capable of apologizing, let him at least raise her fan. The main character wonders if the girl is really asking her to bow her head in front of these people, and if this is a primitive trick that she has learned to expect from her younger sister. But this worked in the world where they were before. But now the lady has chosen an opponent that is beyond her capabilities. After all, she was reborn as the poisonous flower of House Ramel. The red-haired lady apologizes and says that as a lady she offers her apologies. At this time, someone whispers whether this is Her Highness, and the main character claims that, however, she will not be able to give the lady a fan. But then the lady with pink hair cries out that Her Highness was the one who pushed her first, and wouldn't it be polite for her to pick up the fallen fan? Legria says how strange it is, because a little earlier, the girl definitely claimed that she hurt herself because she was standing there, and if the lady does not have back problems, then she can bend over and lift the fan herself. This will benefit her body, in this case too. She will generously forgive her for her rudeness towards the future princess. At that moment, one of the knights turns to Her Highness and asks if something has happened, to which she replies that she doesn't even know if that counts as anything. The girl then bends down to pick up the fan, while the main character steps on it with her foot, after which the lady with pink hair, with tears in his eyes, he asks for forgiveness from Her Highness, the future crown princess. And he claims there seems to have been a misunderstanding, but the main character still doesn't let go of the fan, after which he places his hand on the lady's head and claims that the ability to create misunderstandings with everyone does not make her brave. This is stupid and reckless. The girl nearly cries after this, and also says that Lady Rommel seems to be bothered by weakness in her legs. She also asks the knights if they will help her return to her place. Let them not worry, because she can get to His Highness herself, to which they agree. Afterwards, the lady is led away, and the main character watches her go. Meanwhile, the prince turns to his sister and declares that she's beautiful today. The main character asks if it's really Sinuel. The guy then says he thought the lady's heart would at least beat faster, but apparently that didn't work. The main character says that if he scares people, it's wrong. The guy asks if this is true, then does something else, and asks how about this? He lifts the lady in his arms and asks if she will scold him. The guy also claims that if his sister scolds, then he humbly accepts the punishment, but the main game does not scream at him about what he is doing and tells him to let her go immediately. But the guy then asks what to do because he doesn't want to do something. He also tells the lady not to resist because she doesn't have enough strength. Legria claims that when Rakik finds out about this, Tony will leave the guy alone, but he replies that if he doesn't answer, he will have no choice but to leave him alone, because he's the king there. The guy also asks if the lady can hold her breath for a little while, since it will only last a few seconds. The main character asks why this is, and the guy replies that it will be a little scary, after which the lady screams. At that moment, they find themselves in another room, and the young man asks if it's wonderful, because he can move to another space. He turns everything beneath his feet into a quagmire. The girl screams at him to let her go immediately. The guy agrees to this, after which the lady is even going to hit him. But the brunette grabs her hand and says that this is what her sister's preferences are, and this is quite unexpected. The girl asks where they are, to which he replies that they are in his room, and he wanted to be alone with his sisters. The girl asks him why, after which he replies that he was worried about her because the lady had such a gloomy expression on her face, and he wonders if he and the angel were discussing something unpleasant. Legrea asks how he knows about the couple. He replies that he did say that his kingdom was there, and then he asks again what they were talking about together. Eva says he's on her side, and that her sister can be honest with him. Legrea realizes that if she wants to find the cave, she needs to get closer to one of them. She also claims they discussed the Ruzon district. Laren asks if she's talking about the cave from the legends, and he claims that he thought about what they were chatting about there, and it turns out that it was. So after which the lady claims that she wants to go there. Eva asks what she is talking about, after which the lady once again asserts that she said that she wants to go there. And she asks if the guy can take her. Eva claims that if that's what his sister wants, he can arrange it. However, he can't promise anything, after which the lady asks what he means. The guy claims that the Masquerade family will take. She would be placed under his protection only if the lady escaped from the crown prince on her own and took refuge in their domain. Honestly, if it were up to him, he would kidnap his sister right now, but then the crown prince's faction would brand him a traitor. And in such a scenario, the outbreak of a civil war cannot be avoided, and therefore many people will die. However, if the sister abandons his brother and arranges an escape and then demands protection from the archduke, then he will have a worthy justification. He will shelter her under the pretext of protecting an unfortunate saint suffering from oppression. The main character asks, and it turns out that in short she must get to the archduchy on her own, to which the guy replies that everything is so. Legrea says fine, and offers to tell him how to do it. The girl also says he definitely has a plan, and asks if she's mistaken. The guy then tells her how smart she is, and that her brother isn't worthy of her. Every summer gladiator fights are held in Utgard Forest. The main character asks if that's really true, and the guys reply that's just what they call them. In reality, what's happening is more like a hunt, and prisoners brought from the Union of Steppe States are released into the forest, and they must also survive by fighting the predators raised by their brother. The brunette says that the lady must wait for this day, and the main character then makes a noise, an indignant sound. The brunette asks what happened, and does she really not like his idea, to which the lady replies that no, and the plan is so perfect that she is simply speechless. After which she asks if he offers her to leave the hunting arena alone and unnoticed, which in addition is teeming with captive predators and holy knights shooting lightning and ice left and right. Legrea asks if he is in his right mind, but the boy turns to his sister and asks if she knows why he told her the location of the dungeon belonging to the sanctuary. And does she think he like a spoiled brat dreamed of snitching on his older brother, saying he was a terrible person? So the guy asks her what she thinks her sisters will need most on the day of the gladiator fights. This is the man who will come to her rescue. The main character asks him what he's talking about, and then remembers that guy in the dungeons. Eva asks if the lady knows why her brother left Vikon alive. He is considered the best warrior, as well as the pride of the allied steppe states, and it is quite possible that no one equal to him will be found in all the lands belonging to the Union. In other words, it's the perfect prey. Paradoxically, this also means it's the most difficult to hunt, so he asks if these people understand that she can use him and get out of the forest, and then come to him. The guy then asks what's going on, and if she's really afraid she won't succeed. He replies yes, and she is afraid because she is not as capable as he is and is not at all used to this. Well, he's even more frightening, because why is he helping her? At first, the lady thought his interest was rooted in jealousy of his older brother, but now she has a feeling he's up to something else. The guy then asks if his sister is talking about jealousy, and this is such a sweet assumption. The lady is probably aware of the bad relations between the archduchy and the crown prince's faction, to which she replies that she knows, and the guy claims that the reason for the collapse between them was nothing else. To preserve the archduke's rights to the imperial throne, supporters of the archduchy want him to officially declare the future crown princess his partner. At this point, the main character cries out whether the guy understands what he is talking about, to which he replies that the archduke has declared his desire to see him in the place of the crown prince. Legrea replies that it is impossible to believe that the crown prince already exists, but the guy replies that in one generation, they never appoint a crown princess twice. So he asks if the lady understands what it means, and depending on that, whoever takes the crown prince's sister's place in her heart may be given to another person. The archduchy insists on the release of the saints, and now the truth is being hidden from them, and they are gradually being deprived of their souls, but they think that this needs to be put to an end. After all, saints must gain freedom, and the right to choose the young man, then turns to the lady and asks if she wants to be free. After all, if she chooses him, he will be able to grant her the freedom she so desires. A little while later, the main character is heading down the corridor, but she realizes that one cannot blindly trust Sinuel's words. A smile never left his face, but it is unknown what of what he said is true and what is a lie. But nevertheless, without help from his side, it will be quite difficult to escape from Rakik. That's why she's even interested in what kind of person the Archduke is, and whether he really wants to see Sinuel in the place of the prince. Well, at that very moment, the girl hears someone screaming at her name, and then runs even closer. It turns out to be His Highness, and he pins the girl against the wall, and insists that they're not playing hide and seek, so he asks her if he absolutely must go and find her himself. The lady then asks if he's fulfilled his duty to the aristocrats yet, and she's flattered that he was looking for her. The guy then asks what's wrong with her, and the lady tells him to tell her what's wrong with him. The guy then moves to put his hand on the lady's neck, but stops. The main character asks if he wants to do the same thing to her again, but he replies no, and this time he's thinking of opening her skull and seeing what's going on there. People respond that a person would fall into eternal sleep if they did that, to which he replies that she's right, and that means he won't be able to find out anything. For example, about her relationship with the young gentleman from the masquerade house. The girl asks if he's jealous, after which he claims it doesn't suit him, but His Highness claims that if she suddenly decides to escape, he advises her to hide better, because if he sees even a single streak, he will catch her and break her legs. Legria says that he won't get anything out of her with threats, and the guy says that in that case, he'll have to put her in shackles to make it impossible for her to escape. The main character screams that it hurts, after which she asks what he is doing, and maybe he will put a collar on her again. After all, he can try, and then she can. But the girl doesn't finish her sentence, as the guy lets her go. Then the lady notices something on her hand, and His Highness claims that if she wears it, people won't hit on her so often at balls. The main character looking at her finger is surprised, and the guy says that the ring is now hers. He also claims that there is no other place in the whole wide world another girl would stand with such a gloomy expression, even after receiving a ring from the crown prince. And the main character asks if he's giving her the wedding ring in advance, to which he replies that it's an engagement ring. And they don't have such a thing as engagement, but he's heard that in the sacred world they do. He'll also introduce the knights to the lady, so she should wait for him in the chambers. He needs to meet someone and it won't take long. The main character then turns to the guy and tells him to wait. She then asks if he loves her, but the guy just turns around and continues on his way. Meanwhile, Ewa is at a meeting. One of its participants says that the question is quite logical, and as far as he knows, Mormola's finger doesn't help his son with a second pregnancy, but someone else tells him to continue taking it. The man asks how much longer, and the guy sitting at the meeting is thinking how noisy it is and is so annoyed that he has to just stand there and watch as Legria returns to his brother. At that moment, someone announces that His Highness the Crown Prince has arrived, and a man enters the room. The black-haired boy says his dear stepbrother is late, but Rakik takes his seat and suggests they stop wasting his time on nonsense and get down to business. After that, the Duchess suggests they get down to business today, and they're all there for a reason. One man claims the topic of their meeting will be the barbarians from the Allied Steppe States and the mysterious fruit they protect with their lives. The Duchess says that obtaining this fruit presents them with great difficulty, and it's not so much the barbarians who resist. How much is the impossibility of finding their base? The blonde claims the Empire attacked the Alliance in order to launch an attack on Eretum, while the woman replies that she has been informed that the Imperial House's primary desire is to capture Eretum. But nevertheless, this is nothing more than a cover presented to other countries as a reason for their actions. What really matters is the fruit. The woman also claims that if they had it, Eretum would mean nothing to them. Ewa says he's been listening and realizes they still haven't found the barbarian base, and maybe they should leave their best fighter in quiz instead. Otherwise, how much time can they waste on useless attempts? This only makes His Highness angry. And someone else. He says that if the crown prince doesn't want to get his hands dirty, then he should leave the matter to them. They're just lowly subjects, so it won't bother them in the least. The man insists he'll extract the necessary information himself, so they shouldn't interfere. And if something doesn't suit them, then let them catch you another best warrior. Well, as he said earlier, let them wait for the gladiator fights if they are so unsure. And this time, even for him, it will be difficult to keep his mouth shut. Then another man says they failed to penetrate His Highness's deepest intentions and why he chose such a difficult path. But Eva asks if the boy intends to undermine their confidence by making Varvara's immersion in eternal sleep a mere amusement for the crowd. Wikan is considered one of the top 10 warriors selected from among the 3 major tribes. This is due to a blessing that allows him to summon any animal or bird on earth and see the world through their eyes. When it comes to roadside dwellers, he can summon a mouse. He will see the same thing as an eagle descending from the sky. So how can he in such a scenario escape the terrifying plunge into eternal sleep of his comrades? His brother, through experience, managed to find a more effective method to torment him with torture that would turn his insides inside out. He deprived the inhabitants of the allied steppe states of the sunlight that they so idolized, and also made them quite weak and deprived them of physical strength through regular physical torture, and on the day of gladiatorial fights. He will repeatedly plunge other barbarians into eternal sleep, demonstrating to Vikan their descent into eternal sleep until he completely loses his mind. So let them decide for themselves who will remain sane when their family and friends fall into eternal sleep before his very eyes. In the end, both their faith in the afterlife and the pride they so cherished will be shattered. That's when the opportune moment arrives to get him to talk. The man then says that that's how it is, and now he understands His Highness's intentions. But the man insists he feels this meeting can be concluded, and he rises from his seat and prepares to leave. But Ewa turns to him and asks if their crown prince has already mastered the art of handling prisoners. When His Highness turns around, the boy asks if he really wanted to tell him anything last, and he claims he was trying to warn Sinuel by crossing. The brunette asks about what, and the guy replies that he received a classified report from an informant, about which he presented to this mansion, and they say that the guy knows that in the sacred world, Giselle Rommel was Regria Rommel's sister. The guy then cries out that his brother really planted a rat on him, and the guy only asks him to tell him whether he invited Giselle's son to the ball today in the hope that she will run into the future crown princess and thereby provoke the Farge phenomenon. It's a phenomenon in which girls who were sisters in the illuminated world for some reason switch bodies with each other when they enter new shells. But then the guy asks what kind of nonsense he's talking about. The blonde claims he was told that Giselle had hit Legria a little earlier. He bumped shoulders as she passed by, and he was genuinely considering putting him and the girl into eternal sleep. The brunette says the guy is seriously mistaken and asks where the evidence is. But the guy suggests thinking about why he took it away. He brought Legria to his quarters. This is because this phenomenon can occur after 10 or even 30 minutes. Immediately after Giselle touched her, he moved Legria to his quarters and observed her condition. The guy then screams, "How much longer can we go on chatting?" And the blonde replies that fortunately, this phenomenon passed them by, and Legria remained with himself. So let the guy remember that if he approaches the girl again, he will only say goodbye to his life. The young man then cries out, asking if he really thought of threatening him, and if so, let him think of something better. Has he really forgotten who he is? The young man is the master of the most powerful mercenary guild in all of Belagram. He also claims that he will have to give up his life anyway. The blonde man insists he warned him not to approach his woman. Meanwhile, the main character stands by the window and realizes that in a few days, the month of blossoms will begin marking the beginning of spring. And when spring passes, the sun will rise in June, and she will be officially proclaimed Crown Princess people. Understand that she must complete all preparations for her escape through Utgard Forest before summer arrives, and she must not forget that for her autumn does not exist. A short time later, the month of the sun's reign and the day of gladiatorial combat arrive. The heroine and His Highness are on the road to this forest. One of the bows whispers to the prince that during the previous month of flowering, Her Highness asked him to teach her horseback riding. And in swordsmanship, he assumed that the lady would give up this activity as soon as she mastered the basic things. But now her skills are quite good. And frankly, he could not have imagined that Her Highness was capable of such a deep interest in anything. At this point, the blonde asks what he is talking about, after which the servant replies that he asked why she needs to learn to ride a horse and fight with swords. But she said that she only wants to take part in gladiatorial fights and wants to earn respect as the mother of the next crown prince. As His Highness knows the future, crown princess must earn the respect of the knights and their trust. The prince then looks at the girl, and the servant whispers that in this case all will be well in the country, even if His Highness is absent for a long time. A short time later, they arrive at the scene, and someone tells them that the speed and firing power of the new crossbow model is several times higher than that of a bow. And no matter how strong the warrior from the Union is, they will be able to end his life with one shot. After which, the young man asks His Highness if he'd like to try it. The man then merely looks at the main character, who thinks Sinuel's idea is simple and clear. For her, the only way to survive is to rely on the power of the Archduke's family. The lady is just wondering what will happen next. What if the boy wins the Emperor's love and becomes crown prince, and what will happen to Rakik? At that moment, the boy turns to her and throws something, and the girl realizes it's a crossbow. The boy offers her a try, then tells her to place a target there, and the knight obeys his master. The boy approaches the lady and says that she will after all take the crown princess's place. Therefore, she should be able to handle such a simple weapon. Well then, the main character sees how they drag away the same guy she saw in the dungeon, and the blonde man tells her to shoot him here and now. Legria, shocked, asks if he's really asking her to shoot a man, and the man replies that he's not a man but a barbarian. Afterwards, they place an apple on the man's head and tell him not to move. The protagonist turns to His Highness and asks why he's doing this. The guy tells her to look around, because all these people want to see her, and see if she's brave enough for something like this, and whether she's serving on behalf of the screen princess. The lady said she wants to participate in gladiatorial combat, and let her prove it. The main character thinks that he has definitely gone crazy, and the guy at this time suggests that she concentrate, because they cannot know where this arrow will pierce. After which, he keeps shouting at the girl to shoot, and prove that she is worthy of becoming the crown princess.